changes.
Life.
just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go? We are forever learning, one step at a time. As long as the world is turning, I'll be by your side. We'll keep the fire burning, I'll never see you hurt. You know I can't explain it in a way you words. We both know that you'll understand, and you'll see if you take my hand, and I'll go out of my own way for you. I'll go out of my own way.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go.
Welcome ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are back here on a Sunday night for round 5 of the GT3 Championship here on the PlayStation 5 platform on Assetto Corsa Competizione. I'm delighted to say we have got 22 drivers out on track right now here for the tier 2s of the GT3s, and obviously round 5 in the season now, so we obviously passed the halfway mark tonight. We reached the halfway mark at the end of last week's race at Silverstone. I'm going to read you out the championship standings going into the second half of the season, as I'm just getting them up on SLP right now, but it's a very close leaderboard tonight in the qualifying. We see a tenth of a second currently separating the top 3 drivers in this qualifying session, so it's very close. Andrew currently setting the pace. Has had a bit of bad luck this season with a few incidents and a disconnection or 2 as well, I think, being thrown into the mix, so he's had definitely not the rubber to green so far this season, but can he start to get on the right foot here and start to turn his season around tonight at Barcelona? That's what he'll be hoping that he can do. But I'm going to read you the championship standings coming into tonight. So it's Robe who leads the way. Mr. Consistent has done a couple of victories as well so far this season. He leads the way on 159 points, followed by Guido Christ, who sits in second on 119 points. So it's a big lead that Robe has, over 40 points at the top of the championship over Guido Christ. You've got Caprigia sat in third in the championship on 112 points, followed by Kev Sim, who's in 4th place on 107. And then you've got Henry, who's in 5th in the standings on 103 points, followed by Titan Guto, who obviously won the first 2 races of the season and is now no longer in the league because he got an early promotion to tier 1, so he shouldn't really be on there. 7th in the standings is Tumbaz, who is on 94 points. I don't think Tumbaz is here, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully he gets himself in. Oh no, he is here, sorry. There he is. Yeah, he's on 94 points. You've got Extron in 8th in the standings on 87 points, followed by Andrew, who sits in 9th place in the standings, down to his disconnections and just rotten luck so far this season, in 9th on 78 points, tied actually with Diego and Lexi Mate, both of those in, well, technically P10 and 11 in the standings, but they're on the same number of points as Andrew, both on 78 points. And yeah, I'm just going through the top 10 because we have got a qualifying session in front of us there. But currently we've now got 4 drivers within a tenth of a second at the top, because Guido Chris has gone into 2nd place. So the man's 2nd in the championship, currently in 2nd on this qualifying leaderboard. He'll be looking to try and gain points on Robe tonight, seeing as he is now 2nd in the championship. And we're looking to try and chase him down. in the point standings. Still a long way to go, obviously, in this season. 4 races, including tonight. So can Chris try and start eating into that 40-point gap, which he's got of a deficit to this man here, who is the championship leader, Robe. We've got a couple of comments in the YouTube stream tonight. Totally 0K saying hi, hello. Glenn GT says good luck spur time. I've done very little practice due to man flu, but you've got to be in it to finish. Absolutely, Glenn. Hopefully we can see you get to the checkered flag tonight, as Andrew has just done a 1:43 there. Look at that. That is astounding pace there from Andrew, and looks like he's certainly out there with a point to prove so far here tonight. Great lap there from him. Absolutely astonishing pace. So he's now half a second clear of that cluster of drivers behind him. And I was saying a few moments ago how it was amazing to see 4 drivers separated by 1/10 of a second at the top of the leaderboard. It's no longer that now. Now Andrew's got a decisive gap at the top of this leaderboard. We've got the championship leader Robe just coming through the final chicane section here as he comes out and through into the final. Oh, did he get an invalid lap time for that? He went very wide. Might have got an invalid lap time there, but he's coming out and up towards the line nonetheless. What is it going to be for Robe? Yeah, he stays in 4th, so I think that might have been an invalid lap time there for him. Everybody out on track barring Henry and Exteron, who are in the pits, but we've still got 5 minutes in the session, so they can get themselves back out there and do a lap time here. So it's not all doom and gloom for them, but that we need to get out there sharpish if they want to be able to have a solid qualifying position here for the Tier 2 race here tonight. But I want to just thank everybody for tuning in right now, live on the stream here tonight on Motive. And if you guys are enjoying, please do smash the like button and subscribe to the Motive Racing channel if you haven't already. It really does help us out an enormous amount. It helps us out more than you know. Yeah, also to the drivers, if any of you would like to share it with your friends and family members and otherwise associates, then definitely feel free to get them to check out what you're up to. If they're motor racing enthusiasts, if they play PlayStation, sim racing, ACC, Project Cars, F1, whatever they play, you know, if they enjoy sim racing, then please, by all means, get them to check us out here tonight. We've got Andrew over the line, currently still provisional pole, but doesn't improve. Chris seems to have backed off on this current run that he's on here, so he's got well out of it here. Henry is currently coming through turn 4 at the moment. Turn 4, you got Robe, who's just coming through turn 10, just coming into the final sector of the lap. So we'll keep an eye on Robe here. He's just got a bit of traffic in front of him. That's the Ferrari there of Diego, who's just ahead of him. So Robe will be hoping that Diego doesn't hold him up, but Diego, I think, is on a lap of his own here, so he's not going to be too inclined, I think, to wave Robe by. But nonetheless, here comes Robe out of the final corner, and what can he put on the board here? We'll get a bit of slipstream actually here off of Diego, which will help him, and he goes into P2 there, so moves ahead of Chris and Henry, and he's now on the front row provisionally alongside Andrew, but half a second adrift of our provisional pole sitter, who is setting an incredible pace here tonight. We've got Matev in the comments saying, go Kangi, go! Kangi's currently P7 at the moment in this session. Matev, not too bad, but a little way off of where I think he'd want to be, but nonetheless that would be a decent starting position for him within a second of the provisional pole time, which is currently still being set by Andrew, who seems to be on another plane from everybody else here tonight. Really has put in the work by the looks of it. He's been grinding it out, I'm sure, in the server over the course of the week, and he's currently reaping the benefits right now, being top dog here at Barcelona. And it's a track that I think everyone knows quite well, so you know, to be the top man at Barcelona, you really do need to have put in the work, and he's currently doing that brilliantly, but doesn't improve on that particular run. Still the only driver in the 43s, and nobody else is even close to the 43s. The next driver, who's second in the leaderboard, Robe, is on a 44.4 right now, so you know, it's not even close. It's not even like the others are knocking on the door of the 43s. They are absolutely nowhere near, and currently he is absolutely heads and shoulders above everybody else. But we've got Robe coming through into the final sector of the lap here right now, and can he find a bit more time? Can he shave a few tenths off of that fastest time? Can he even bother Andrew at the top of the leaderboard? Maybe just pip him into a pole, who knows? But he's still behind Diego at the moment, actually, and I think they both started the lap at the same time, so I think he's lost time over the course of this lap, and in fact he seems to be just backing off a little bit, trying to get a bit of space. Diego comes over, doesn't improve from P12, but yeah, Robe there definitely was getting held up behind Diego, because we've just seen him back off massively at the end of that lap, and he's obviously looking for some space if he can get it. But yeah, Robe's not really getting the rub of the green there. Guido Christ up towards the line, currently P3. Can he improve? No, he can't. Stays in third. You've got Henry just coming through the final sector here, as he's currently fourth in this session. He's not too far off of P2 either. If he finds a 10th, then he'll be on provisionally on the front row of the grid. As here he comes, Henry out of the last corner. What is it going to be for him? Up towards the line he comes, and he doesn't improve, stays in fourth place. What about that funny looking guy? He looks like he's just backed off a little bit, trying to get some space here before he goes for another lap. And Totally Zero K has just gone into P2 there, leapfrogs Robe, Guido Christ, Henry and a few others, and he's now got it within 0.2 of a second. So Andrew's got a driver who's now starting to ramp up the pressure here, and Totally Zero K will get one more run at the end of this session. So this is his final run. This is it for Totally Zero K. He's got to deliver it now. It's now or never for him. Can he make it work on this final opportunity? It's basically last ditch desperation this time around for Totally Zero K. But you've got Robe coming into the final sector here, and he's got a few more corners to go. Can he reclaim P2? Can he knock half a second off of his fastest time in this session so far and put himself on the top spot? That would be a heck of a job if he's able to do that. It might just be a little bit beyond him here, but here he comes through the final chicane and into the final corner here at Barcelona. What can Robe put on the board here? He goes a little bit wide there, but gets it turned nicely. No, he's backed off, so he's not going to improve here at the end of this session. It's P3 for him at best, and that's if Guido Christ can't improve. Guido Christ is coming into the final corner. A funny looking guy out there as well, but we're going to stay with our man in the number 97 McLaren as he's up towards the line. What can Guido Christ put on the board this time around? He does move ahead of Robe up into third place, so Robe down to fourth there. You can see Totally Zero K coming through the final few corners of the lap. Can he find 2.5 tenths here right at the end of this session and put himself on provisional pole ahead of Andrew? Here he comes, stays off the sausage curbs. Nicely navigated through there. I imagine if he wasn't on an improvement at this point, he would have backed off, so you've got to bet that he would definitely be on an improvement. Is it enough to put him on pole though? It's not. In fact, it wasn't even an improvement there. So Totally Zero K, nonetheless, a front row start in his second appearance here at Motive. I'm sure he will take that. He impressed last week at Silverstone. Came from down towards the back to finish in, I think, 9th place it was in the end. So a very, very solid performance from him, and he's improving on that already. Second place on the grid here tonight at Barcelona, as we've got a Coding Monkey coming through into the final corner. Spur Time's also out there as well. We will jump to him in a moment, but Coding Monkey, can he improve from P11 and get in the top 10? No, he can't. What about Spur Time? He's just coming through the final corner. Oh, he's not on a lap by the looks of it, because the timing screen's just faded in. Or is he on a lap? He might be, actually. He's up towards the line nonetheless. He doesn't improve on P18. So that is that then, guys, for the qualifying session here for the Tier 2s here at Motive in the GT3 Championship. And Andrew there in the 143s, Jazzman there in the comments, very impressed with what he's seeing there from Andrew, saying into the 43s. Crazy eyes there from Jazzman. He clearly is very impressed with that. I'll be interested to see what he's able to do, Jazzman. I reckon probably mid 43s for Jazzman. That's what I'm predicting we'll be seeing from him. But nonetheless, he's very impressed to see the Tier 2 guys not managing to get into the 43s. Not something I think we were really expecting before tonight. Totally Zero K putting it in the low 44s. Guido Christ as well. Robe kind of knocking on the doors of the low 44s. But yeah, Andrew there, fantastic job from him. But obviously we'll be interested to see, because I think that Jazzman will probably be, I reckon he'll be well into the 43s, but he wouldn't have expected the Tier 2 guys to be as close as they are to, I think, what the ultimate pace will be in the Tier 1s. Totally Zero K saying Andrew is fast, today's rival for me. Definitely so, but impressive to see you putting up the front row there, mate. To be fair, you know, your second ever race here at Motive, and you really are showing yourself to be a contender here in this Tier 2 division. Guido Christ, Robe will be in there amongst it, I'm sure. Robe's the championship leader for a very good reason. He's been consistent so far this season, has taken a couple of wins as well, so he'll be looking to try and build on that here tonight. Henry, your race winner at Circuit of the Americas, ended up going with a full race on one set of tyres for that one, so that was an incredible job from him. Can he do that again this time out and make it work to perfection? It was a very, very ballsy but It was a ballsy move, but a move that paid off for him. A funny looking guy. He's had a bit of a patchy season so far, involved in a couple of incidents. Last week at Silverstone was involved in a first lap incident which the stewards did actually take a dim view of. They were of the opinion that he did move across a little bit aggressively, so a funny looking guy needs to be on his best behaviour here tonight. Did pick up 10 penalty points on his licence, which obviously if you pick up 75 you get banned from the leagues, but 15 means you pick up a qualifying ban, so 5 more penalty points for him and he will be in a bit of trouble. But Kev Sim there in P7 had a chance to win last week at Silverstone, couldn't quite do it, made a mistake coming out onto the international pit straight, put it into the wall, and that cost him the victory in his battle with Robe. Kangi P8, he's got some support in the chat here tonight, especially from Matev, Caprigia, also Tumbas completing that top 10. We've got a lot of more drivers here out on track tonight, as you can see, but we're going to come to everybody over the course of the race and be watching all the battles as they unfold. But we've just ended up playing ourselves into a bit of a hole here because we have pressed drive, so we can't actually change any of the drivers that we're watching until we get to the start finish line. But oh well, it's not too much of a problem, is it? We can just wait until we get to the start finish line and then click on who we want to watch. But yeah, a bit frustrating, to be fair. Oh, I know how this goes. Here we go, guys. Apologies for that little delay there, just getting the stream on. We're underway here on lap 1 of the race. We've got Andrew leading right now. Looks as though we've got Totally Zero K there in second place. Henry's up into third, so it's been a good start there from him, 5th to 3rd place. As we see, Robe's lost out to Guido Christ, so Robe losing a place. In fact, no, he didn't lose out to Guido Christ, sorry. Henry got ahead of both of them two. Up into third. We've got an incident in the background there. Kev Sims into the wall. I don't know if that was contact there. It was contact with a funny looking guy. Oh, funny looking guy involved in another first lap incident here. It's not gone well at all for him, but currently you've got who is with them next to them actually in that pack. Capriga looks like he's got through it unscathed. Kangi as well, and yeah, it looks like, oh, we got somebody spun off there. That was Spur Time there who lost it. He's got into the, oh no, careful, rejoin the track. What are you doing? Put your brakes on, man. What's going on? Spur Time there reversed. He's back onto the track into the path of traffic. Who was that he took out there? I didn't really catch a glimpse of who it was. Somebody went absolutely tearing into him there, and I didn't really catch who it was that he caught up there. Was it Chinaski? It must have been Chinaski, because Chinaski's in the pits getting some damage repaired, so it's not gone well at all there for either of those two. But it's currently Andrew leading ahead of Totally Zero K. Henry there in third, ahead of Guido Crest, followed by Robert. The top 5 have broken away from the rest of them. There's Capriga ahead of Kangi, followed by Tumbas. You've got Jill Silverin ahead of Luke Van der Streets, followed by Cody Monkey. There's Diego ahead of Exeron, Nate Fletcher ahead of Rusty Man. You've got Day ahead of Kevson, followed by Lexi Mate with a funny looking guy, Sparky Franchise, and Spur Time there with huge damage on that Aston Martin. And he's going to be limping round to the pits here, I'm sure about that. So an absolute disaster there for Spur Time and Chinaski here on this opening lap of the race. Oh, look at Rusty Man there diving down the inside of Exeron, but overshoots the corner, and Exeron will say thank you. And at that back, as Rusty Man's gone into the wall, and he will lose out. Day's now ahead of him as well. Kevsim moves in front of him. Lexi Mate's going to come through, I think. No, can't quite get him. So there, Rusty Man staying ahead of I think Kev Sim and Lexi Mate, is it? Yeah, so he's just ahead of Kev Sim there, but Rusty Man dropping down a few places here. Currently the battle for the lead though really heating up. The top 5 separated by about 2 seconds, so it's a very close race up the front. Robe's trying to pile the pressure on Guido Christ in the battle for 4th place, but Andrew leads this quintet of cars as they're coming through turn 8 right now. But a dramatic start to this race. A funny looking guy involved in a collision there once again on the first lap. He seems to just always get involved in these incidents on the first lap. Not what we want to be seeing at all. It was obviously, unfortunate incident there with Kevsim. Kevsim caught up in that one, but we don't know. I don't want to be waving fingers just yet. Obviously, we don't know. Could have been Kevsim's fault. Could have been Kevsim driving into a funny-looking guy. We don't know at this point. We'll have to obviously wait and see as Extron's binned it into the wall, coming through turn 10. I think that is on the exit of turn 10, coming into the final sector. Definitely looks to be, yeah, it is. So Exeron there has dropped a bit of time. It seems to have got away without too much damage there, but he's got Sparky Franchise behind him, so he's obviously dropped back into the clutches of him. But Exeron way down the order now, as you would expect. But Andrew still leading ahead of Totally Zero K, followed by Henry. You've got Robe there ahead of Guido Chris. The top 5 have got Capriga now hunting them down a little bit. Kangi's also coming with him, as well as Tumbaz. So lots of drivers packed into a short space here. Bit of a gap back to Luke van der Streets, who's got a Coding Monkey and Diego on the back of him right now. And Nathan J. Fletch is sticking to the back of these guys as well. A couple of seconds back to Jill Silver, and he's ahead of Dave, followed by Rusty Man. There's Kev Sim right on the back of there as well. Bit of a gap back to Lexi Mate. A big gap back to Extron after that incident there, going into the wall. And he's got a couple of seconds back to Sparky Franchise there. But very dramatic first couple of laps here to this race, which Andrew currently leads at the moment by just under a second, but these two have gapped Henry ever so slightly. Robe's now ahead of Guido Chris, but he's obviously dropped a bit of time here to the top 3, so he seems like they must have maybe slowed each other down a little bit whilst Robe was making that move on Guido Chris, and those two are now a little bit adrift of the top 3. Obviously Henry's now dropping off of the top 2 actually a bit, so it's really Andrew and Totally Zero K fighting over the lead. There's Henry, there's Robe, there's Guido Chris. Caprigia now closing up onto the back of Guido Chris as well. So he's certainly bringing himself into this battle. Oh, as I say that, Capriga gets it wrong, and he just about avoids Kangi. Kangi there did well to see that coming and went the right way there. It can sometimes be a bit like trying to save a penalty kick when you see a driver spinning out like that. You don't know if they're going to try and get out of your way, or whether they're going to try and save the car, or whether they're just out of control completely. So sometimes it can be a guessing game as to where their car's going to end up. But I think Kangi there anticipated that quite well, either that or he guessed the right way, and he survives that one. As Guido Chris was looking to the inside on Robe into turn 1, but couldn't make anything happen just there, and we stood as we were, looking in the foreground. No, nothing major going on right there. Andrew and Totally Zero K still 6/10 apart as they're coming into turn 4 here on lap 4 of the race. Henry there still keeping tabs with him, but seems to be dropping off with him a little bit over the course of the first couple of laps. Robe and Guido Chris still running there in 4th and 5th places right now. You've got Tumbaz trying to pull the pressure on Kangi at this point. Those two still close. Bit of a gap back to Capriga, who seems to have dropped it. Obviously, well, you saw him drop it, but he's dropped a little bit off for the leaders now. You've got Nath J. Fletch there still going in P9. Luke van der Streets in P10 has managed to keep the gap reasonably respectable to Jill Silver, and a Coding Monkey falling off of these guys ever so slightly now. There's Day ahead of Rusty Man, as we've got Kev Sim who's got ahead of Rusty Man. So Rusty Man losing out to Kev Sim, and Kev Sim making some position gains after that incident on the first lap with the funny-looking guy. He's bringing himself back up this order here. There's Lexi Mate ahead of Diego. Exeron's closing up onto the back of Diego after his mistake a couple of laps ago. These guys have gapped Sparky Franchise considerably. A funny looking guy has been in to make his mandatory pit stop very early on in this race, so where can he get himself to? Obviously we saw that lap 1 incident with Kevsim, but he is now starting to I think get his race underway, so to speak. Spur Time is in the wall, so Spur Time has not moved. What has gone on here with Spur Time? Oh, what a shame. As Chinaski's still in the pits, he hasn't moved since he came in on lap 1. Spur Time looks like his race is over. I can't see him putting himself out of that one. So Spur Time here done for tonight, but Andrew still your race leader ahead of Totally Zero K right now. These guys have got Henry a couple of seconds behind. There's Robe, who's still keeping Guido Chris at bay at the moment. As they're all filing through turns 1 and 2 in the background there. Luke van der Streets goes wide and stays ahead of Jill Silvering for the time being, but Jill Silvering always trying to go round him there. Into turn 2 they go, but Luke van der Streets staying ahead of him for the time being. There's Day ahead of Kev Sim. There's Rusty Man in the background. Lexi Mate there still going in P16. It's got Diego and Exeron still battling behind him right now. Guido Chris getting closer to the back of Robe though. I'll tell you what, these two not really gaining on the guys up ahead, as that is a reminder to me to restart the tier 1 server. So I'm going to do that right now. good thing I'm setting these reminders, because yeah, recently I've forgotten to do those. But we got Andrew with Totally Zero K looking up his inside into turn 10, nothing doing, he can't quite get there, but Totally Zero K seems to be ramping up the pressure on our race leader. He's been getting closer and closer over the last couple of laps, and he's now well within a second. He's under half a second now to him, so he's looking very quick and racy at this point, and that is what we want to be seeing right now. Here we come out of the last corner, out to the start finish straight again. Can Totally Zero K get a bit of a run here on Andrew and maybe have a chance coming into turn 1? I think that Audi's just got the legs over the Ferrari as they come down towards turn 1 once again, and should have enough of a gap here to hold on quite comfortably into the braking zone. But Totally Zero K definitely giving Andrew something to worry about over the course of this one. And Andrew, obviously, we saw taking pole, the only driver in the 143s, but at Totally Zero K was not a million miles away at all. As we've got Mike Stokeman there in the comments saying this is one packed ACC server. Good luck, guys. Good to see you, Mike. He's our Clio Cup and Touring Car champion on Project Cars 2, Mike Gaming. I don't know whether he's planning on getting a PS5 and joining the PS5 leagues, but if he's enjoying what you're watching, Mike, I'd say definitely pick up a PS5 and get yourselves involved in this action. But currently we've still got these two, Andrew and Totally Zero K, not much at all separating them at this point. They've gapped Henry by a couple of seconds. Guido Chris is still on the back of Robe right now as these guys battle over P4. Plenty of action everywhere you look throughout this field, as you've got Coding Monkey still trying to get onto the back of Jill Silver, in the gap between Luke van der Streets and Jill Silver staying at around a second. It's been pretty consistent for the last few laps. Kev Sim eyeing up his next victim in the shape of Day 666. Obviously Kev Sim is on the comeback trail in this race after his early collision with a funny looking guy who came into the pits very early. Oh no! And a funny looking guy, as we're talking about him, has gone onto the gravel. So what has gone on here? He's parked it by the side of the track, and I think he's accepting defeat in this race. He clearly doesn't feel like he's got the grip or the car underneath him to continue on his quest in this race, and that is a massive shame there. So he is out of the race. We've got Moskson in the comments says, I started the race but now I'm just content watching it. I think that's China Ski there by the looks of it, number 90. Hashtag 90 must be in the comments there. But yeah, he seems to be enjoying the stream. Great to hear, mate. I'm glad that you're enjoying watching. Shame that you are out of the race so early on, but yeah, well, you're always welcome to chime in and check out our streams. Hopefully you're enjoying what you're watching, and hopefully you're on the edge of your seat watching this battle right now at the front between Andrew and Totally Zero K. Henry's now started to pick up the pace a little bit and is not losing much time to these guys actually at the moment, so he's keeping the gap at around 2.5 seconds. Guido Christ is still trying to pressure our championship leader Robe, just 0.3 of a second between these two, but obviously these two are the top two in the championship so far this season. I'm not quite sure what the situation is in terms of strategy here tonight, if people are full tanking it, half tanking it or whatever, so that will obviously come into play around the halfway mark when we see people coming in to make their pit stops, but that will definitely have an effect on the order that we see in front of us right now. Caprigia still pressuring the back of Tumbaz in about for 7th place at this point. You can see that Coding Monkey creeping close to the back of Jill Silverin. Jill Silverin still on the back of Luke van der Streets, and he's closed actually a little bit over the course of this lap so far. That looks like it's well under a second. There it is as they're coming into turn 9. You can see Jill Silverin now really starting to ramp it up here on Luke van der Streets for the final top 10 spot, but the Coding Monkey is being dragged along with them right now. And the gap at the front between Andrew and Totally Zero K, 0.666 of a second there. You can see that Robe is actually closed up onto the back of Henry here, so I think Henry must have made a mistake because he's now got Robe and Guido Christ right on him here, so this is now a three-way fight for the final podium place. I didn't really see what happened to Henry there, but he's had some kind of sort of small little incident there. As we can see, Tumbaz is just ahead of Caprigia there, 7th and 8th places coming into turn 1. You've still got Jill Silverin on the back of Luke van der Streets. You've got a Coding Monkey on the back of him as well. Day 666 is on the back of Kev Sim as they're coming down towards turn 1. We've got Glenn in the comments there saying, oh no, what happened to spur time? I'm not sure, Glenn. I just noticed on the first lap that he had he'd made a mistake. He obviously ended up in the middle of the track, and there was a bit of a disaster that ensued. But yeah, he made that mistake, and then I looked back at him a few moments later and he seemed to be in the wall. Oh, I don't know what happened to him, but he just said, oh, he says Diego again, Diego NL. Oh no. Well, obviously, spare time, any incidents that you have tonight, be sure to submit a ticket. I recently created the ticket tool on Motive's Discord server, so any incidents that anybody has, please go to our go to the submit a ticket part of the Discord. It's a channel underneath the stewards section, and if you submit a ticket, and it will automatically come up on my notifications on Discord, and it will stay on my notifications until I sort it out, basically until I close it. And obviously I'm not going to close it until it's been resolved. So pretty much just submit the ticket, put the link in, leave me some notes, let me know what it is that I'm looking at, and pretty much we can get incidents sorted out a lot more easily now. So yeah, please do, guys, if there are any incidents tonight, I am making a point of sorting these out, because the driving has at times been a little bit ridiculous. But we can see here Caprigia looking down the inside of Tumbas into turn 1. That is job done there for Caprigia, so he's moved himself up a place. As we can see in the background, that is Rusty Man, who's gone a lap down on these guys, but obviously Rusty Man has been in to make his mandatory pit stop. A fun looking guy, looks like he's retired from the race. He's not going anywhere fast. Spur Time's now back out on the track, which is good to see. Let's hope that he doesn't encounter Diego at any point tonight. Fingers crossed. But yeah, currently Andrew is your race leader by a second and a half. He's now started to gap Totally Zero K ever so slightly over the course of the last couple of laps. You got Robo still on the back of Guido Christus. They're coming through turn 8 right now. Jules Silverin's very close on the back of Luke van der Streets here, but still hasn't been able to find a way through. Tomba's still keeping Caprigia very much on his toes at the moment, but this is the battle here for P10, 11 and 12 in this race. And we see them all coming through turn 8 here on lap 9, and Luke van der Street still clinging on for P10 at this point, as they're coming now down towards the end of the little back straight, which leads into turn 9. It's still Luke van der Street's holding on as Jill Silvering goes a little bit deep into the corner. Does he get it stopped in time, or is a Coding Monkey going to sneak through here? It's going to be close. Jill Silvering just rejoins the track in front of a Coding Monkey there, but he's lost a bit of time there to Luke van der Street's in the process. Kev Sims still on the back of Day, hasn't been able to get ahead of him, so Day 66 holding his own very admirably at this point, doing a good job here. They've got Diego now starting to reel him in a little bit, so Kev Sim will be wanting to get on with this if he can. As Glenn saying in the comments there, unlucky spur time. I do my best for you in the race, although I have been off sick. As we go back to this battle here for P10, which Luke van der Street still has that slight gap to Jill Silver and then a Coding Monkey. Obviously wouldn't have helped that Jill Silver made that mistake coming through turn 9 on that previous lap. The gap between Guido Christen and Robe still just under a second. Totally Zero K did a quicker lap than Andrew on that last lap. He was about 3/10 quicker. The gap is now just over a second, but that looks like it might have dipped under a second here by a little bit, not by much, but I think it's just come under a second between those two. So Totally Zero K starting to bring it to our race leader once again. But Andrew has done the fastest laps of this race. He is currently still the man who holds that purple lap time. Obviously that's the indicator that somebody has the fastest lap of the race. I need to turn off that alarm because it keeps going off, and it's now turned off, so that's all good. But yeah, interesting night so far here for the tier 2s at Motive, and currently Andrew still has that lead ahead of Totally Zero K. Robo here is still running in 4th place behind Guido Christie's. In fact, what's happened to Henry? Because Henry is now behind Guido Christie and Robe, so Henry's down in 5th place. I haven't seen what happened to him. He was occupying that 3rd spot for basically the whole of this race so far, but he's dropped it somewhere and is now down in 5th place, so it's not been an ideal situation there at all for Henry. And now this battle between Guido Christ and Robe is for the podium place, and in fact Guido Christ is ahead of Robe, so Guido Christ has essentially gained 2 places out of this because he made the move on Robe and Henry's also dropped it somewhere as well. So now Guido Christ sat in 3rd place, now in a position where he can gain points on his championship rival, albeit he is 40 points behind, so it's a big gap, but He's on the right tracks at the moment. Again, we don't know what the situation is with people's fuel loads. Are people half tanking it? Are they full tanking it? Are they planning on changing tyres? All of this will come out in the wash by the time we get to the end of the race, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. Diego's really close up onto the back of Kevsim here. You can see well within a second. Obviously, Kevsim here has been on the back of Dave, but hasn't been able to get ahead of him for the last few laps. So now this is a battle that's definitely going to be one to watch. As Robe's trying to come back at Guido Chris, but it looks like these two very, very close on pace, quite evenly matched here around this circuit here, so it looks like there's not really much to separate them. Andrew and Totally Zero K still just over a second separating the top two, so it's ebbing and flowing between these two right now. It looks like they're very, very similar in terms of pace, but it looks as though Kev Sims just dropped off for Day a little bit over the course of this lap, and he's got Diego really pressuring him right now, as we've got lap car there of Spur Time just behind, and behind him is Exeron, who's trying to put a lap on him. So Exeron a couple of seconds behind this battle going on between Kev Sim and Diego right now, and obviously Day as well in front of them. But Exeron there managing to put a lap on Spur Time without any issues. But it is currently still Andrew and Totally Zero K just under a second here separating these two. We've got High Grade in the comments there saying you got this, Lexi. Lexi hasn't had the night so far. High Grade, he's down in P17. It's yeah, but still some good points, you know, not a bad haul of points for P17. He just needs to keep consistent, try and keep himself in there, but yeah, right now just needs to sort of keep himself going, make sure he gets to the end of the race here, make sure he sees the checkered flag. But currently we've still got Robe on the back of Guido Chris. These guys battling for third place continuously. Gap just under a second now between Andrew and Totally Zero K, and that is well under a second there. That is not 0.9 of a second, that is about 0.4 of a second, as those guys come down now down towards the end of the back straight into turn 9 once again. 0.362 of a second between Andrew and Totally Zero K right now. So Totally Zero K putting the pressure on, starting to ramp it up again on Andrew. Andrew's led this race since the beginning, has had obviously pole position in the qualifying session, was the only driver in the 143s, but Totally Zero K was only a couple of tenths off of his fastest time, and he is really looking to crack on here, and might be looking to try and get the undercut maybe in the pit stops if he can, if he's looking to try and change tyres and put fuel in. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Totally Zero K trying to come in a lap earlier maybe than the halfway point to try and get the undercut, get some fresh boots on and push it and push on and go for it. Or are we going to be seeing the driver who does the overcut maybe getting the better run of it, because potentially it could be that, you know, if the tyres aren't warming up quickly, then the overcut could work very well. It depends on how quickly these guys can get their tyres up to temperature and working properly. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all pans out right now, but 7/10 of a second currently separating these front two at this point. Guido Chris has still got 6/10 of a second back to Robe. These two running in third and fourth places right now. A Coding Monkey still within a second of Luke van der Streets, but these guys have capped Jill Silverin by a couple of seconds. So Jill Silverin was in 11th place, obviously lost out to a Coding Monkey, and a Coding Monkey is now trying to put this pressure here on Luke van der Streets. But it is still Andrew out the front, just under a second is his gap right now over Totally Zero K. There's Guido Christian Robe just coming through turn 8 right now, and they've obviously got a fair way back to Henry, who's running in P5. I don't know if Henry's got damage. I think he might. I mean, we kind of like gathered he must have dropped it somewhere to have dropped a couple of places. We got Fiav Dakar in the comments there saying, "Hi there, greetings from Argentina." Hello, Fiav, welcome along to the Motive Racing channel. Buenos dias. Yeah. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you're enjoying, please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the Motive Racing channel as well. And if you play ACC on the PS5, then head over to www.motiveracing.com, join a Discord server, and get yourself out on track. If you're watching it due to any of the drivers out on track, then please let us know who you're supporting as well. But Still watching this battle here for third place between Guido, Christ and Robo as they're coming now down towards turn 1 here for the 14th time in this race. It's still Andrew out in front doing what he needs to do. He's got just over a second to this man here, Totally 0K, who's having a really strong outing tonight at Barcelona. Last week at Silverstone he made his debut here at Motive, and this week so far he's really kicked on and has taken it to the next level here, fighting it out for the lead of the race. But Andrew setting the fastest lap of the race so far in this one. But right now these two, nothing really separating them in terms of their current lap times they're setting. Gap up between Guido and Robe just over a second now. Diego's getting close to the back of Day as these two coming into turn 1. You got Kev Sim in the pits right now, so he's making his mandatory pit stop at the end of lap 13 for him. Cody Monkey's still just about within a second of Luke Van der Streets as these guys are just coming up to put a lap on Rusty Man by the looks of it. As we see Rusty Man there just going through turn 5 at this point. As in the background you've got Joel Silver in there running in P12. Seems to be just dropping off at the pace of these two, Luke and Cody Monkey, ever so slightly right now. JR there saying greetings from Yorkshire. As always, I know where you're from, JR. Great to see JR in the comments as always. I'm just realising no Run DJC members tonight for the tier 2s. I can't remember. Have you got anyone in tier 1? I know Raki sometimes races. I'm trying to think now. Most of Run DJC are now on the PC. There's hardly anyone left on the PS5 now. I know COD's not here tonight, but he does sometimes race in the tier 2s here on a Sunday. But yeah, nonetheless, welcome along to JR Sim Racing, otherwise known as Junior Hughes, and also JR Lock and Load on the PlayStation did actually commentate here at Motive. It's a little known fact because we weren't as big back then, but he did actually commentate on Project Cars 2 for the GT3 League in the first season that we had for that league here at Motive. So he's a man who knows what he's talking about with the mic in front of him, but he hasn't done that for some time due to the fact that I think he said it was a major disturbance for his wife and kids having I don't know, something to do with that was the reason why he can't commentate anymore. But obviously he does race once or twice a week, I think, on the PC platform nowadays. But nonetheless, well, welcome along to you, mate. Great to have you as always. As we've got Luke Van der Streets in the pits at the moment, so he's making his mandatory pit stop at the end of lap 14. We can see the leaders coming around on lap 15 of the race into turn 10 here, and still nothing really separating the top two, just under a second separating Andrew and Totally 0K right now. So it's very, very tight between these guys. They're continuing to gap the battle behind them between Guido, Christ and Robe, and in fact that battle's not really a battle anymore. Guido Christ has now got nearly 2 seconds over Robe, so I don't know if Robe's tyres may be starting to go off a little bit at this stage. Potentially it's becoming a bit of a factor. We're not really in the pit window yet. I'd say next lap and the one after are probably going to be when we're going to be seeing most of the people coming in to make the pit stops, because you'd think people would try and do it at as close to the halfway point as possible. This is the part of the race where you can kind of gauge who's half tanking it and who's full tanking it, because those who are half tanking it will be bringing it in probably very, very soon, and those who are full tanking it could come in at any point. There's no real sort of limitations on when you can come in. When you're full tanking it, you could probably come in on lap 1, or you could come in on the final lap of the race. You know, when you're full tanking it, it makes no difference. You could still come in, you could kind of throw a decoy potentially and come in at the halfway point when all of the guys who are half tanking it come in, and that would be a bit of a decoy. You could maybe lure your opponents into a false sense of security, making them think that you're half tanking it, and then you just, well, obviously then you come out 30 seconds ahead of them, and that might be a bit of a clue. But yeah, it's fascinating to see how the strategies play out. It always is, and you just never know what people are doing until you see where they come out after the pit stops. So yeah, it's all a bit of a guessing game right now. But one driver who I think will be I hope he's half tanking it, I hope he's full tanking it, because if he's not, he might be in for a difficult night. That's Henry, because he was in 3rd place in the early stages, but he's dropped down to 5th place, and he's falling off at the podium places at a rapid rate. He's now over 5 seconds behind the man who occupies that final podium spot in Guido Christ. And obviously Henry, he won round 3 of the season at Cota, but tonight at Barcelona it has not really gone the way that I'm sure he would have been ideally envisaging it. Nonetheless, we see Totally Zero K into the pits here at the end of lap 16, so he pulls the trigger from P2. Can he now get the undercut on Andrew? Andrew staying out for the time being. Obviously our pole sitter, but I said before, Totally Zero K might try and roll the dice with an undercut here, do the opposite of Andrew, don't come in on the same lap. There's absolutely no point in doing that. Seems to be in the box for a little while here, so I think he's probably half tanking it. Yeah, he's definitely changing tyres and putting fuel in the car. So Totally Zero K half tanking it here in this one. What have Guido, Christian and Robe done? Because if they're full tanking it, they'll be in a great position here. They will gain huge amounts of time on Totally Zero K once they come in, so it could be very advantageous here for Guido, Christian and Robe. Henry, we don't know just yet what he's doing, or could they all be half tanking it? Maybe, I don't know. Nonetheless, Totally Zero K is now coming out of the pits. Kangi's also in the pits on this lap, so is Jill Silverman, so that's 3 drivers coming in there at the end of lap 14. You've got currently Kev Sim, Rusty Man and Spur Time have all been in to make their mandatory pit stops. Luke van der Streets has had a bit of a nightmare. I don't know whether he's come in, tried to do his pit stop and it's not worked, or maybe he has just done it and there's a bit of a glitch here which has stopped him from being able to get that green box. Maybe Luke van der Streets might be needing to send me a video of that after this race just to prove to me that he did stop. I remember a similar incident happening a few weeks ago with MVGT, where he stopped in his box and the pit crew let him go very quickly. He was only stopped for about 1 second, but I reviewed the incident and I realised that the amount of time that he gained by being in the pits for maybe 2 seconds instead of 5 seconds, he actually didn't gain any positions, and he was in a world of his own where he finished in that race. So to me it made absolutely no sense whatsoever to dock him or give him a penalty just because of a glitch in the game, especially when it only gained him 2 or 3 seconds and it made no difference to his finishing position. So I just thought, you know what, there's no point, especially because he came into the pits very late in the race as well, so he had no one around him when he came out. It made absolutely no difference to his race. But yeah, Luke van der Streets, if you want to send me a video after the race just showing that you did come in, that would be excellent. But Caprigia, Tumbaz, a Coding Monkey and Diego all coming in here at the end of lap 17. Andrew's still going, still out there on the track. I wonder if he's full tanking it. He is currently 6 seconds clear of Guido Christ, who's running in second place. You've got Robe there running in third. He's a few seconds clear of Henry, who's currently running in 4th place. But Andrew is doing exactly what he has to do out the front right now, and he's been controlling the race. Obviously has had pressure at points from Totally Zero K, but at this stage in the race seems to be in a much better position. Caprigia now off and away, so is Tumbaz. Cody Monkey and Diego still in their pit boxes right now though, as Andrew dives into the pits here at the end of lap 18, so presumably half tanking it, coming in just after the halfway mark. Wouldn't be surprised at all, but here he comes. It slows it down to the pit lane speed limit. And where are his pit crew? Where is his box? Here, Andrew is in. So Guido, Kristen and Robe both staying out. Are they full tanking it maybe tonight? Wouldn't be at all surprised if Henry is, because Henry is a driver who pretty much always full tanks it. But Andrew into the box. Now how quickly is he going to be away? I think he is half tanking it, because he has not moved. He doesn't seem to be going anywhere very fast at this point, so I reckon Andrew's probably half tanking the car. The big question is, are Guido, Kristen and Robe full tanking it? Because if they are, they should come out well ahead of Andrew and Totally Zero K, but Andrew and Totally Zero K will have the pace on them at the end. In fact, Andrew got going a bit quicker than I thought he would there. So I wonder if he's gone for something in the middle. Maybe he's I don't know, maybe he has half tanked it, or maybe he's just changed tyres and not added fuel. Totally Zero K nonetheless is going to get the jump here on Andrew, so actually Totally Zero K having a quicker few laps there managing to get the undercut there. He came in 2 laps earlier than Andrew, and that is the result of it. 2 laps on fresh tyres and totally 0k. Now ahead of Andrew on the track. Is that going to be the net race lead though, with Robe and Henry? Obviously the gap was about 6 or 7 seconds between totally 0k and Andrew and Guido Christ and Robe. So, but these two, I think they're not going to lose that amount of time, I don't think anyway, over the course of the rest of this race. So they will obviously have quick pit stops, they'll have tyres going off at the end, but how badly are the tyres going to be going off? I can't imagine they're going to be losing 4 seconds, a net worth of 24 seconds in what, 15 laps, 14 or 15 laps? I just can't see it. I think that it's going to be between Robe and Guido Christ for the race win. Guido Christ is into the pits, so is he half tanking it? Nonetheless, he stopped in his box now. Is he going to be quickly away, or is this going to be a tyre and fuel job here for Guido Christ? In fact, I think it is a tyre and fuel job because he doesn't seem to be off and away quickly. So that's about 15 seconds so far in the box there for him. Yeah, drivers seem to be pulling away after about 15, 6. It's not the full works. They're not putting. Are they changing tyres? Are they putting fuel in? What's going on? Because most of the guys are off and away reasonably quickly here. Guido Christ is well ahead of totally 0k, and there's Andrew coming out onto the start finish straight. So Guido Christ definitely did something to the car, and he's come out actually quite a way ahead here of totally 0k and Andrew. So I wonder if Guido Christ maybe, I don't know, has he not changed tyres? Maybe the other two did. Very confusing. Nonetheless, he's a little way clear of them, but we're going to keep an eye on these lap times and see whether totally 0k and Andrew are able to close the gap to him. Robe's still got to come in. Is he going to come in this time? He's staying out for now, so maybe he has full tanked it and he's good to go to the end on these set of tyres that he's on. But maybe Guido Christ is on worn tyres. Maybe totally 0k and Andrew have got fresh tyres on, and if they have, then they will be able to try and start closing that 10-second gap to Guido Christ. How is this all going to play out? We don't know at this point. 13 of you currently watching the stream for the tier 2s here tonight. If you guys are enjoying, please smash the like button as well. It helps us out an enormous amount, as we've got Sparky Franchise coming in from P11, so he becomes the next driver to come in. So it's now just the 2 leaders, the top 2 should I say, Robe and Henry, and also Day 666. Oh, and Luke Van der Streets, but I think he has been in. I think that's a glitch on the game. But what is going to happen here? Guido Christ has lost half a second to totally 0k, and totally 0k's got a drive-through penalty for cutting the final chicane. He must have been on his 3rd warning, and he's gone and executed that 3rd warning, and unfortunately for him, he has now got to come in and do a drive-through penalty within the next 3 laps. It's not like on Project Cars 2 where you can come in at any point during the race. He's got to do it within 3 laps, and that's going to be absolutely gutting there for him. That is going to be extremely frustrating there for totally 0k. So I wonder when he's going to come in and do that, but I suppose the best thing will be to just get it done and out of the way, then you know where you stand at that point. But Day 666 into the pits here at the end of lap 20. So just 2 drivers now, yet still to do their mandatory pits. That's Robe, the race leader, and Henry currently in 2nd place. Well, these 2, I reckon, are both full tanking it. They probably don't need to change tyres, but I don't think Guido Christ did either. But the thing is, obviously totally 0k is now out of this picture because he's got a drive through, but Guido Christ has got Andrew actually reeling him in a little bit. Andrew's only about 10 seconds behind Guido Christ, and if Andrew has got fresh tyres on his car, then he'll be able to come after Guido Christ quite quickly at the end of this race. But where are Robe and Henry going to come out in relation to Guido Christ? Because I think that Guido Christ is on worn tyres. I don't think he's changed those in his pit stop, so he will be slower than Andrew in the final part of this race. But how much slower? That's the question. These 2 out the front definitely going to be full tanking it, I think, at this point. So we'll probably come out in 1 and 2. If they were to come in right now, they'd come out in 1 and 2. but they'd have worn out tyres in comparison to this man here, Andrew, who was on pole position in qualifying. Let's not forget, he led the first stint of the race, but we reckon probably at this point now, we're probably realising that he was on a half tank, and that would have given him probably just about a few tenths of a second a lap, probably between 0.6 and 0.8 of a second it usually gives you having a half tank as opposed to a full tank. And obviously in the final stint, that is more of an advantage in the final stint, because obviously your opponents also have worn tyres as well. So you don't get the benefit of less fuel, but obviously you get the advantage of fresher tyres, probably by about 17 or 18 laps. So it does make a big difference. But Days picked up a drive-through penalty, so Days coming in to do that drive-through penalty. In fact, he stopped in the box, so as he retired the car, I'm not quite sure, but Day doesn't seem to be moving anywhere fast at the moment, and that's a little bit of a tricky one there for him. But Robe's still your race leader by just over 3 seconds right now, ahead of Henry, who sits in second place. Totally 0k with his drive-through penalty, needs to come in and do that soon. Andrew's closing in on him, and Andrew will be wanting to make sure he doesn't get held up behind Totally 0k here, because he will be looking to try and chase after Guido Christ. And Guido Christ, as we said before, could be coming out quite close to Robe and Henry when these two come in and make their mandatory pit stops. Henry's keeping the gap at 3 seconds to Robe. Henry's not out of this fight for the win. If Robe's the net race leader, which we still don't know yet if he is, but if he is, then Henry could still be in the battle for the win as well. Could still be a four-man battle for this win, with Robe, Henry, Guido and Andrew the contenders here, as we're just coming into the final third of this race. We've got Kev Sim on the back of Diego, as these two are coming through turn 5 right now. But Totally 0k is coming in to do his drive-through now. And the gap at the front. Oh, Robe making a mistake there coming out of turn 9. That would have just given a bit of impetus here to Henry. Has the gap come down a little bit? I reckon it probably has come down ever so slightly, but I don't think it's come down considerably. Totally 0k has got himself a stop-go penalty whilst doing his drive-through. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Oh no. And that is an absolute disaster there for Totally 0k. He'd actually come out in P6. So he was still in a decent position, but he's just gone and picked up a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pits, and that's going to mean he has to come back in again. Here on ACC, when you get done for speeding in the pits, the punishment is an invitation to come in and try again. So it's like, okay, yeah, you came in a bit too quickly that time. You're endangering the lives and well-being of the pit lane personnel. So as a result, we're going to ask you to come in and do it again. But nonetheless, anyway, Andrew's closing in on Guido Christ right now. You can see the gap's 9 seconds between those two, as we can see Guido Christ coming over the line here to start lap 24. So Andrew's continuing to reel that gap down, but has he got enough laps left in this race to get onto the back of him? Obviously, as we said before, Robe and Henry could come out quite close to Guido Christ by the time they come in and make their mandatory pit stops, but Andrew's got the fresh tyres here. Guido Christ on the tyres that he started the race on. We've probably got about 10 or 11 laps, probably 11 laps in this race, I would guess, looking at the timer. So factoring that in, Andrew's got to probably lap about, he's got to lap probably about a second a lap quicker than Guido Christ, probably just a little bit less than a second a lap quicker, if he is to be able to pass him before the end of the race. And obviously, as we said before, we don't know what the situation is with Robe and Henry, or where they're going to come out in relation to Guido Christ. Oh, as Henry's got onto the grass there, and that one just lost him a couple of seconds there. As we see Robe coming to the final corner, there is Henry now. So Henry probably about 6 or 7 seconds behind the net race leader at this point. So Henry there, a little bit of a mistake as he was just putting a lap on Jill Silverin, and just behind him you can see a coding monkey in the background. So has he just made a mistake whilst trying to lap them? Maybe just lost his concentration a little bit whilst trying to clear the traffic. There's Day in the comments saying, I don't know what I did there, but somehow there was no fuel added. I must have not knocked the fuel strat on the way in. That's totally 0k now coming in to do his stop go penalty, and he's now off and away. There, he doesn't look like he's getting going again, so I think that is his race done unless he has a change of heart and decides to put some laps in at the end of this race. But what a shame there obviously for Day. I think it's just a maybe the like he says, potentially the strategy, the little strategy map on your controls. Maybe he's just knocked it on by accident or something, I don't know. Totally 0k though, nonetheless, back out onto the track in P14 in this race. What a shame for him, as he was in that battle for the win before. But that'll be a lesson learned for him. He'll know for next time. He'll know not to do that again. But Robe, your race leader by 6 seconds over Henry. Guido Christ has been into the pits, completely missed that whilst we were watching what was going on elsewhere. And he's come out considerably ahead. No, sorry, he's already been in the pits. What am I talking about? It's Henry. Oh, sure, sorry, mate. Sorry. What am I talking about? I'm going nuts. Sorry, guys. Completely lost my thread there. Guido Christ has always been in third place. He came into the pits many laps ago. He's on the worn out tyres. Andrew's on the fresh tyres. Still 8 seconds between those two at this point. Sorry, I completely lost my thread there. When you commentate by yourself, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of information to keep track of, especially when it's all entering ahead at once. It's not like this has been a slow intake of information. It's all kind of happening. It's kind of all happening in front of you live, and you've kind of got to digest every little piece of information that you're seeing, remembering it all. Yeah, it's not easy. I'll tell you that. It's not easy. But no, Guido Christ has always been in third place for pretty much quite a number of laps now. He's now 8 seconds ahead of Andrew, so Andrew's continued to close that gap on his fresher tyres. Guido Christ on the worn tyres, as we've said, and I've said this many times, we don't know where Robe and Henry are going to come out in relation to Guido Christ. Guido Christ could be the net race leader here, but Robe and Henry are definitely full tanking it, so they're on the same strategy as Guido Christ. But are they going to come out ahead of him? Or is Guido Christ going to be the net race leader? And Andrew, as we've said before, could potentially be the race winner tonight, because he's on fresh tyres. He's only 7 seconds behind Guido Christ, and he's gaining about a second a lap on Guido Christ. And we are going to have, I reckon, if my calculations are correct, I think we're going to have 8 more laps in this race. So if Andrew continues to gain at the rate he is on Guido Christ, he's going to be on him coming into the final sort of couple of laps of this race. So it's going to be possible, if Guido Christ is the net race leader, or is close to the net race lead with Robe, then he is going to come out. Then Andrews could be in with a very good shout here of winning this race. He obviously led the first stint and came in on a half tank strategy, changed his tyres, put some fuel in, and emerged a long way behind Guido Christ, who came in for a quick splash and dash. But yeah, Andrew currently bringing the gap down under 7 seconds now between Guido Christ and Andrew at this point. Robe still leading the race. He's pulling out the gap a little bit by bit here to Henry. It's just over 7 seconds now separating those two. But still no sign of these two coming into the pits. They don't need to do so until right at the end. The latest time that you can come into the pits is basically the last lap. So as long as they don't misjudge how long a lap is around this track, they should be alright. Just looking at the timing board here, we've got Diego trying to reel in Egseron. Kevsim still on the back of these guys as well, keeping them on their toes at this point, trying to keep that pressure on. This has been a battle that's been going on for some time. I think Jill Silverin might have, don't know what strategy he's on. He's a second behind a Coding Monkey at this point, so that's still a close battle. But these guys in 11th, 12th and 13th places are currently giving each other, all three of them are giving each other a bit of hell here. As Exron's starting to pull away a little bit from these guys, I'm not sure, he might be starting to extend his gap to them ever so slightly. gap between Robe and Henry just staying at around 7 seconds at the moment, so nothing's really changing in that battle. As we can just see Exeron here, Exeron, Diego and Kevsim really closing on Jill Silver, and Jill Silver, I don't know if he's got worn tyres on his car compared to these guys, but he just seems to not have the pace. They've gained quite a bit on him on that last lap, as Diego's having to defend to the inside because Kevsim's looking around the outside into turn 1. As we're just seeing a confirmation there, Day's now back out on the tracks after doing his drive-through. That was probably the longest drive-through I've ever seen. But currently Exeron, Diego and Kevsim still having a good fight on the back of Jill Silver in now, so it's a 4-man battle here for P10. Exeron a bit wide there as they come through into turn 5. Robe still just under 7 seconds ahead of Henry at this point, as these guys on lap 28, still no sign of them coming into the pits at this point. When are they going to pull the trigger and make their stops? The gap between Guido, Chris and Andrew, I tell you what, that is coming down very quickly now. The Guido Chris tyre is now starting to hit the cliff maybe, because Andrew within 4 seconds now of the McLaren, and we have got probably at least, I would say, at least 7 laps in this race still to go. No, not 7, maybe 6 laps of this race still to go. Could be 7 even, I don't know. So Andrew, I think it's safe to say, is going to come out ahead of Guido Chris here, or rather he's going to catch him and probably pass him before the end of this race. Gap now 3.5, but can Guido Chris get out ahead of Robe? Because Robe obviously driving on worn tyres as well at this point, still needs to come in at some point, but when is he going to do it? He won't be needing to put fuel in, I'm sure about that, whereas Guido Chris, I think, may have put fuel in the car. As we see Guido Chris coming out of the last corner, he's just about to pull up on some traffic, but Andrew continuing to bring that gap down. It's now under 3 seconds between these two. So Andrew gaining hand over fist here on Guido Chris, but on the last lap it wasn't as much as it has been. About just over a second was the gain from Andrew on that last lap. If Guido Chris can start responding and maybe bring that differential to about 0.6, he might have a chance of holding Andrew off here at the end of this race, but he has got some traffic just in front of him. He needs to hope that this traffic's kind to him. That is Day just up ahead of him, so Guido Chris will be praying that Day sees him coming in his rearview mirrors. And Day moves well out of the way and lets him through, so no dramas there. Guido Chris now up into some clean air. Now Andrew's going to try and pick him off as well as they come through turn 6 and 7. As Robe's now into the pits here at the end of lap 28. Henry here starting, sorry, the end of lap 29 should I say. Starting lap 30, Henry is now a race leader, but Robe, where's he going to come out in relation to Guido Chris? Guido Chris is just coming into the final sector. Robe, I think, is going to have quite a quick stop here. It's not going to be there's no reason for any hold up here for Robe. It's not a massively long one, but it's not a quick one either. If he gets going now, it won't be too bad. There we go, he's off the jacks now. Guido Chris is coming into the final corner as Robe is now away. Guido Chris here, coming through the final corner right now. Robe is now coming towards the end of the pits. Guido Chris is just starting lap 30. Here is Robe on the exit of the pits. Guido Chris now coming over the line. There is Robe on the pit exit. There is Guido Chris, and Guido Chris has got ahead of Robe. And Robe, I think, might lose out to Andrew here as well. Andrew down the start finish straight is going to get ahead of Robe. So Guido Chris and Andrew coming out ahead of Robe, and I think Robe is on worn, well, he's definitely going to be on worn tyres. No point changing him at this point. So Guido Chris is your net race leader, but only by 2 seconds. Andrew is hunting him down here at the end of this race. Andrew was about 8 tenths quicker than Guido Chris on that previous lap as well, and he's continuing to gain on him. I reckon he's going to be within striking distance in a lap or two's time, as Guido Chris there very wide. Very, very wide coming out of turn 4. Through turn 5 we go. He's got traffic in front of him as well. But that gap looks like it's not much more than a second now between Guido, Christ and Andrew. So Andrew continuing to bring the gap down. Obviously started on pole did Andrew, but he half tanked it and changed tyres compared to the other guys who are trying to go the full distance on one set of tyres. But Andrew here arriving on the back of Guido Christ, and Guido Christ now has just got to hope that he can defend this, because he's not going to be able to outpace Andrew at this point. Andrew's got considerably fresher tyres and a lot more pace than him at this point. So Guido Christ's only hope is that he can make his car as wide as he possibly can and hope that that McLaren has got enough straight line speed to be able to keep the Audi at bay. So I'm going to try and calculate how many laps we've got in this race. Henry will come out obviously behind these guys because he was behind Robe on the track before Robe came in. So Henry, I think, is going to come out in P4 behind these three when he comes in. But the gap is under a second now between Guido Christ and Andrew. Guido Christ's only hope in this race is that he can make his car as wide as possible and defend this position. We've got 4 laps left to go, I believe, in this race. 4 laps it should be. Looking at the timer and obviously knowing the length of this track, it's about a 1:46 in the race. 1:45, 1:46 lap. The timer was on 6 minutes 20 as they came over the line, so we've got enough time for 4 more laps, including this one. As we come through turn 4 here on lap 31 of the race, and Andrew's almost underneath Guido Christ. As Guido Christ defending the inside coming into turn 5, and he's still holding him at bay for the time being. As Guido Christ goes a little bit wide there, Andrew can't quite get a look in. Down towards 6 and 7 they come again. And it's still Andrew piling the pressure here on Guido Christ. When does Henry come in? Not this lap, that's for sure. But this is the battle for the net race lead of this race. 0.4 of a second between Guido Christ and Andrew. Andrew might be suffering with a little bit of front end grip loss down to the fact that he's running in the turbulent air of Guido Christ. He was about a second a lap quicker than Guido Christ before he arrived on the back of him, but a second a lap sometimes isn't enough to get you ahead. Oh, as Guido goes a little bit deep into the first part of the final chicane, does he get it turned in nicely for the final corner? You can get a good exit out onto the start finish straight. You might be able to hold on here, but I tell you what, Andrew's got a great run out of the final corner. Down the start finish straight we go. Guido Christ goes to defend to the inside, and Andrew's got a great run here around the outside. What's the Audi got in terms of straight line speed? They're side by side as Andrew's slightly ahead coming into turn 1. Does Guido Christ trying to throw it back down the inside? I think Andrew's got that one done. Holding it around the outside for turn 2. Andrew has got the net race lead here at Barcelona. 3 laps left to go here in this race, and he's hunted Guido Christ down on his fresher tyres. Andrew hits the front here for round 5 of the tier 2s here at Motive, and I don't think he's going to give this one up now. He should be able to pull away on those fresher tyres. Andrew hits technically the front, not quite yet because Henry's still got to come into the pits, but when Henry comes in he should have the net race lead here. Unless Henry's mechanics can pull off an absolute worldie of a pit stop, Andrew should be our net race leader here. When is Henry going to come in and roll the dice? Obviously it's not really a roll of the dice at this point, but Henry's coming in nonetheless here at the end of lap 32. And Andrew's still going right now as he's coming down towards turn 9 at this point. Gap is 40 seconds between Henry and Andrew, as Henry's now just about to pull into his box in a second. But Andrew's already coming into the final sector here, as Henry there stopping in his box now. Andrew into the final chicane. Where's Henry? Henry's off and away. Henry's off and away and out of his box here. Wow, I tell you what, Henry could actually come out ahead of Andrew here. This is going to be very close. Andrew's just coming over the start finish line. Henry's off the limiter now. Oh my goodness, Henry's going to hold on to the lead here by the narrowest of margins, I think. Henry there, yeah, he has. Henry is leading the race into turn 1, and we've got 2 laps left to go in this race. So somehow Henry has managed to pull off a worldie of a pit stop there. Guido Christ and Robe must have had slow pit stops because Henry was behind Robe before Robe came in. So Robe must have made a mistake when configuring his pit strategy, because he's come out behind. He's come out well behind Henry, and Henry leads this race as we come through turn 4 on lap 33, 2 laps left to go. If Henry can make his car as wide as possible. Oh, Andrew's lost it! Andrew's bending on the exit in turn 4, and he's gone into the wall! Oh my goodness me, you couldn't ride this! Andrew could have just picked him off. He could have made the most of his fresher tyres. He's got huge damage on that car, and he's thrown away the race win, and Henry could be on the verge of taking his second win of the season. He did the same strategy at Circuit in Americas, which won him the race, and Andrew here has thrown it away with a massive amount of damage there on that Audi, and it's going to be the Audi of Henry that will take the win instead tonight, unless he makes a mistake here. Guido Christian Robe battling out over second and third places here, but wow, that is unbelievable. I never saw that coming, Henry coming out ahead of Andrew. But then, for Andrew to bin it when he's behind him, he could have probably picked him off with ease. In the last couple of laps, he could have probably picked him off with ease, because he would have had so much fresher tyres than Henry. But a bit of impatience and a little mistake there from Andrew, and Henry just needs to limp around on these worn out tyres for this last lap. Guido Christian Robe in the same boat as Henry, they're on worn out tyres as well. Andrew could have just picked his moment there. But maybe a little bit of tentativeness there has cost him the race win. Henry into turn 1 on the final lap of the race. There's Guido Christian Robe still fighting out over second and third places. Totally Zero K is pulling up onto the back of Jill Silver in this battle for 12th place. He's got himself up the inside. Can he get the run here down towards turn 5? He's out on the outside of Jill Silver in here. Jill Silver in trying to cover the inside line off. He's still got it, but Totally Zero K trying to go around the long way here. Can't get it done. Jill Silver covering off every potential advance here from Totally Zero K. As we see Henry coming through. We've got half a lap left to go here at Barcelona for the Tier 2s here at Motive. Robe still on the back of Guido Chris as these guys are coming through into turn 8 at this point. Henry though coming down towards turn 9, the final lap of the race here for Henry, and what a job it's been from him. He's been in the right place at the right time, played his strategy really well, knew he didn't need to put tyres or fuel in the car. He had everything he needed from the moment that he left the garage at the beginning of this race. Henry won the race at Kota earlier in the season with the same strategy when he was on pole position. Tonight he was certainly not the quickest driver, but he's been the one who's played his cards right, and Henry coming through the final corner here at Barcelona is going to be what you could say is a bit of a fortuitous winner, but to be fair, he's done everything right, and up towards the line Henry takes his second victory of the season. Fantastic job from him. Guido Chris comes over to take P2 ahead of Robe, who completes the podium. These guys well clear of everybody else, but Henry, what a performance there from him tonight. Kangi's going to come into the final chicane and he's going to take 4th place in the end. Andrew down to P5 with that mistake, with a couple of laps left to go, could have won the race, but Kangi here out of the last corner will take home a P4 here at Barcelona. Lexi Mate's already crossed the line in P14, they likewise in P18. Andrew coming it around up towards the line will take a 5th place after taking pole. Was the quickest man tonight, I think, but being the fastest man out on track doesn't get you the win. Cabriglia takes P6. Tombaz is going to take 7th place as we see Rusty Man just up ahead of him, so Rusty Man comes over to take P15. Tombaz 7th, Nath J Fletch over in 8th. Diego's just coming to the final sector now. Sparky Franchise is just coming into the final corner. Lou Van der Street's in the pits, he's done, so is Spur Time. But Sparky Franchise will be the next driver over the line, as here he comes up towards the line to finish in P16. Kev Sim coming through the final chicane. Next over will be Diego to finish in 9th. Cody Monkey takes home P10 in the end, ahead of Extron in 11th. Kev Sim over to take 17th place. Jill Silver will be the next driver on the lead lap in 12th. And Totally Zero K is done for the race, he's parked it, so Jill Silver, I think the last driver to finish the race. Yep, And that is it, guys. So that is a wrap here for tonight at Motive for the Tier 2s. But stay with us, guys, because the Tier 1 race will be coming up after this, and hopefully we'll see a similar story, because that was an absolute cracker there. But Henry taking the win ahead of Guido Christ and Robe completing the podiums. And yeah, guys, make sure you stay with us for the Tier 1s. We'll be live in a few moments' time for that one. Stick around, grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, and do what you got to do. And yeah, we'll see you very, very shortly.
See you again. Again.
Uno, dos, tres, hey!
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down. All around this empty town, we're searching for the lost and found. But you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air, like a blazing flare. Don't stare, 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the Tier 1s of the GT3 Championship here on ACC at Motive on the PlayStation 5. We had an incredible first race of the night here for the Tier 2s, and hopefully we can have a similar story out on track here for the Tier 1s. These are the creme de la creme. These are the best of the best here on the PlayStation platform, and let's hope that we can have an exciting race here at Barcelona. Got 22 drivers on the grid here for the Tier 1s. We have 22 out on track for the Tier 2s as well. So all in all, we've had 44 drivers across both tiers, which again, absolutely brilliant. Awesome turnouts we've had so far this season, and long may it continue. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We had 51 for the first week at Monza, and then since then we've always had between 43 and 45 consistently for the ensuing 4 weeks that we've had since the first week. So, you know, consistently over 40 drivers, well into the 40s in terms of how many drivers we've had each week. So again, I said before, I'm kind of just pinching myself at how well this season's gone, and obviously round 5 of the season, still a way to go, but yeah, I'm loving every second of commentating on the GT3s here on ACC at Motive. And I said before, the plan is to get some more leagues going here on the PlayStation here on ACC. The plan is to get a Porsche Super Cup going, and as well a GT3 Sprint Cup as well. Not the 1 hour races, but a couple of half-an-hour races maybe on a Wednesday night. So that's definitely a plan which we've got, but also maybe getting a third tier for the GT3 on a Sunday, because we do generally get a few people asking if we're accepting entries. It's quite hard to accept mid-season entries when you've kind of got everything organised and set up, but you know, the aim is always to expand here on ACC on the PlayStation here at Motive. You know, things are on the up, things are looking better nowadays, so let's just keep things, I just want to keep the momentum going essentially. But we are here out on track for the qualifying session. This is a track that Jazzman, our championship leader, has said before he's not a big fan of. He absolutely hates Barcelona. He's self-confessed loather of this track. It's a track where he did actually fail to win a race. I know, right? Unbelievable, right? Jazzman failing to win a race. What you say? Yeah. This track he actually came second to Recco Vantage. The last time I think we raced here, actually, it might have been the last time we raced here. He did start at the back, to be fair to him, so you know you kind of got to give it to him. Recco started from pole, and Jazzman went for a full tank, no tyre change strategy, which it almost worked. Recco went for a half tank and came out about 10 seconds behind him and hunted him down towards the end of that race, and I think Recco managed to pass him for the lead. I think it was on the penultimate lap of the race, so Jazzman wasn't too far away from making it work, but Recco Vantage ended up beating him to that race. So that, I mean, that just goes to show how good of a record Jazzman has here at Motive. It's one of the few times where he didn't take a race win. You know, that just kind of says it all, doesn't it? But here he is anyway, coming over the line. He's just about to start. Oh, he's just about to finish his first flying lap of the session. Straight into the 144s, a low 144 dead on his first flying lap. So we'll be seeing improvements over the course of this session, I'm sure about that. Jazzman currently already on it. Lucas gone in second, Arlampa third. We saw their pole time from the tier 2s was a 43.9 from Andrew, but obviously these are the first laps of the session, so the tyres probably not exactly where the drivers will be wanting them. Saying that, it's a very hot track, so it's not going to take too long for them to get them where they want them. But Jazzman straight up there. Tynus has gone into a 44.3 for his first lap of the session. That would have put him third in tier 2, so these guys are still getting the tyres warm and probably will be finding their pace as this session goes on. We've got plenty of comments coming in on the YouTube stream here tonight. Lots of comments in the break. We have Booster Seat saying what a race. GG says totally 0k, and yeah, plenty of people commenting. Spur Time says well done podium places, well done Henry, nice race there, says Glenn GT. The penalties saying totally 0k. This ending was similar to last week in terms of strategy, says Booster C. Definitely so. I think it'll be the same in tier 1 as well. Indeed, the tier 1 race says totally 0k. I think I'm going to cry, says Andrew. No, Andrew, no. Totally 0k says the same. Awesome first stint though. I feel your pain, pal. Spur Time says to Andrew. Stewards didn't like me today, saying totally 0k. All fair penalties though. Good evening all, says Raki. Welcome along, Raki. Massive fan of Motive is Raki. We've got also totally 0k saying hi again. Hello. We've got Raki there saying shout out to Scooter Report and Clegg GT UK. And Booster C saying, do you think a Ferrari challenge will be popular? I'd definitely put it to a vote. I'll be interested to see if people will be up for that. Probably run it on a Wednesday night instead of a GT3 Sprint Cup. But the only reason why I was thinking of doing a GT3 Sprint Cup, I asked people if they wanted to do a GT4 championship, and that did not really go down very well at all. So I don't think that the popularity was really there for that one. But I mean, I'll be up for putting the Ferrari challenge to a vote. That's definitely a shout. Also, we've got Cody Monkey saying hi everyone, welcome along Cody Monkey. We saw Cody Monkey racing in the tier 2s a few moments ago. Good to see him chiming in here for this tier 1 event. But right now we've got Titan Guto at the top of the leaderboard, so he's managed to displace Jazzman in P1. I'm noticing also, I'm just watching the stream on my phone and I'm noticing it's a little bit laggy. So guys, just bear with me and I'll try and get on top of this. I think it might be because my Twitch stream is quite a long way behind real time. So what often happens when the Twitch stream falls behind, it will fast forward and it will try and catch up, but in doing so it will start to lag. So I think it might be something to do with that. Let me just have a quick little look and see. So the Twitch stream is currently, it's about 4 seconds behind real time, so I think it's caught up now. So I think that might have been the reason why you would have seen a bit of lag on the stream. It should be all good now actually. We should be all clear. But right now, Titan Guto, wow, look at that. I'm just noticing, I just looked up from, I was looking down at my phone, I just looked up at the screen, a 43.5. Jesus Christ, you guys would have seen that quite a while before I did. Titan Guto, a 43.5. That's 4 tenths quicker than the tier 2 pole time that was set by Andrew. Jazzman's going to have to go back to the drawing board here and rethink what he's doing, because he's going to have to find half a second, more than half a second if he is to take pole tonight. Tynus in the house coming up towards the line. He's 8 tenths off for the pole time. Can he improve? Not for now, he can't. So he pulls over to the side and he's going to have to rethink what he's doing in terms of his setup here. or maybe just how he's driving the track, because it might not even be setup related. But MVGT nonetheless goes into 4th place, so he pushes Tyler's down to P5. But Titan Guto, wow, look at that. Last week got very unlucky at Silverstone. His game glitched at the start, which meant that he had to basically start from the pits because he missed the opportunity to ready up at the start. But yeah, Titan Guto right now is looking very, very good here. Half a second clear of Jazzman at the top of the leaderboard. This is only his 3rd race in Tier 1. He obviously made his debut a couple of weeks ago at Kota, started at the back, finished P10, and then last week he had a nightmare. Didn't start the race I think until about 3 laps into the race, and that pretty much meant that he finished last, as you would expect when you start 3 laps after everyone else. But yeah, nonetheless, we'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do here tonight, as he's currently your provisional pole man. But yeah, we've got Spur Time there saying good luck Glenn, need a result for the Aston Martin tonight. Raki saying the M2 is a fun car, maybe a one-off class or a one-off event. Definitely a shout, Raki. I'll be looking into that. I know that it's been on the PC for a while, and obviously with 1.8 coming to the PS5, it's now been on the PS5 for, well, best part of a couple of months now actually, so it's been a little while since we've seen the that being available. We've also got Glenn saying cheers Raki, Spur Time, I'll do my best. Robert Rowalonsky saying in the comments, great race in Tier 2, got me sweating. It was certainly an exciting one, Robert. It was great to see all the battles going down to the wire, and obviously we didn't know what was going to happen until the very end. But yeah, it's a difficult track is Barcelona. I'll tell you what, it's not the easiest to master. It can be quite physical, and one thing I'll say is that ACC, in terms of sim games, it is the most physical game that I've played. As you see MVGT just going up into P3 there. Luke has also, no, he hasn't improved his time actually, he stayed in P4, he hasn't changed his time, but MVGT improving up to P3 with that last lap of his. But yeah, it's quite a, it takes its toll, Barcelona. I'm always sweating whenever I drive this track on this game, and other tracks, you know, I'm okay, I can sort of just do it, just kind of feel like I'm not really exerting myself physically. This track, you're constantly on it, and it takes a lot of mental energy as well. There's no real room for respite. You're constantly having to think about the next turn and the one after, and you're always having to position your car very intricately. So yeah, it's not the easiest of tracks to drive. But currently we're watching Jazzman coming through the middle sector right now. MVGT's in 3rd. You've got Luca just coming through the final corner here. Can he improve on P4? He's coming out onto the start finish straight right now. And Luca can't improve there, stays in P4 for the time being. Tyler stood out there. Ludo is just coming through into the final corner now. What can Ludo put in the board? He's currently P6 in this session as he crosses over the line, and he stays in P6 for the time being. PS Vids is just coming through up towards turn 6 right now. You've got Max Power just coming out of the final corner. He's just over a second off for the provisional pole time, being set by Titan Guto. Can he improve a little bit more? No, he can't. Stays in P8 for the time being. Arlampa coming into turn 1. You've got Mary Louise. Oh, Mary Louise gets it all wrong coming into the final corner. That would have probably cost him any time that he had managed to gain on that lap, if he had. As he comes over the line and doesn't improve. But I'll tell you what, the pole man in Tier 2 tonight, Andrew, if he was in Tier 1 tonight, he would be in 2nd place on the grid. So he's got some serious pace. As it stands in this race, he'd be ahead of Jazzman, who is our 4-time champion here at Motive, I think he is, yeah. He's won the PS4 Wednesday, he won the PS4, the main PS4 GT3 League twice. He won the Sprint PS4 League once, and he also won the PS5 League in its first season. So yeah, Jazzman's a 4-time champion here at Motive, looking to try and become a 5-time champion this season. So he knows what it takes, he's done the business before, and he'll be looking to also become a 2-time champion of this PS5 GT3 League. Because we did actually do a season on the PS5, and it kind of like was a bit low-key because all the streams looked a little bit tatty, down to the fact that we had to run on the bonnet cameras of all the drivers. There was no such thing as a trackside view on the spectator mode on the PS5 version of ACC when it first came to the PS5, exclusively to the PS5 that is. So basically for the first season we were running bonnet camera views for all the streams, and the streams weren't really a massive success you know, quite understandably, down to the fact that we were literally riding around on the front of the cars rather than showing you the trackside views, which are far more magnificent to watch in terms of a television perspective. But yeah. Basically, Jazzman did actually win the championship in that season. That was the first season we had on the PS5, and then the second season was the one we had just gone at the end of last year. This is season 3, as we see Jazzman coming over the line. Can't improve on his second position at this point, so he stays provisionally on the front row of the grid. MVGT still third. Lucas currently fourth at the moment in this session. We've actually lost a driver, have we? I think no, I don't think so. Maybe not. I thought we had, but we haven't. We have still got 22 drivers in the session, so yeah, same as it was before. But 17 of you currently watching the stream, guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying right now. As we've got Alex Jacob, I think that's Lexi mate there if I remember correctly. He's saying what's the next races. The one after this, actually I'm glad you asked, because when we get to the end of the stream now I'll be able to remember what the next race is, because I always struggle to remember what the next race is. So yeah, one after this is Suzuka, which is actually the one of the DLCs, the Intercontinental GT pack, which was one of the first DLCs actually to come to ACC on console. So hopefully people have got that. Brands Hatch will be after that for round 7, and then we'll round out the season again. Another DLC track, the same DLC pack, the Intercontinental GT pack, that will be at Kyalami for the final round of the season, which will be exciting. That's Jazzman's home race as well. For many of you who will not know, Jazzman is a South African racing out of Qatar, lives in Qatar nowadays, but born and bred in South Africa. And yeah, he'll be racing at home for the final race of this season. As he's just coming in towards the final chicane now, can he find a bit of time here and get a little bit closer to the provisional pole time, which is being held at the moment by Titan Guto. As we've got Totally Okay saying Titan Guto broke a world record. Are you sure about that? Raki also saying, and those curbs, Andy, always a threat on this track. Yeah, for sure. You're never too far away from a disaster with these curbs, the sausage curbs especially. Totally Okay says by a 10th in terms of Titan breaking a world record. Really? Are you serious? What's your sources here? Because it might be, I don't know if it's a different game mode or something maybe. I'll be interested to know what your sources are there, Totally Okay, because that would be quite incredible if he has. But nonetheless, Alex Jacob there saying lagging again. I think it's alright now. I've got the stream up on my phone and it looks to be quite smooth now, so I think we're okay at the moment. As Cody Monkey saying I'm also South African. Well, you've got a counterpart here, Cody Monkey. Jazzman, I tell you what, he's a good counterpart to have. Maybe if he can, maybe you might be able to nab a setup off of him. He might want some more South African boys to be in Tier 1. But nonetheless, it's Titan Guto who's the man of the moment tonight. Currently P1 on a 43.5, the only driver to go into the 143s. I always sat here during the Tier 2 race thinking to myself, well, we're going to probably be seeing Jazzman in the mid 43s after seeing Andrew dipping into them earlier. But Jazzman, a 44 dead. And that just really goes to show, I think, how quick Andrew was earlier on getting into the 43s, because only one of the drivers been able to do it all night. And I tell you what, if we hadn't have promoted Titan Guto to the Tier 1s a couple of weeks ago, then we would have been seeing the Tier 2s going quicker than the Tier 1s tonight. That is quite incredible. But nonetheless, Titan Guto taking pole position here for this qualifying session with Jazzman in second place. MVGT will line up third with Tynus alongside him on the second row. Luca will be in fifth ahead of Ludo in P6, followed by PS Vids who line up in seventh. Max Power in 8th ahead of Arlampa in P9. Commissar will line up in P10 with Mary Louise in 11th, Epiphany in 12th, then it's going to be Johnny Renwick in 13th place, followed by High Grade, who will be starting this one in 40th. Then we've got Matev in 15th place, followed by Spuzz in P16, Nico Barani in 17th place, Tom Quarantine in 18th, ahead of Brando in 19th, Lowell 3000 in 20th place, ahead of Glenn GT in 21st, and Scooter Paul ran out the grid. Didn't look like he did a lap time there. So Scooter Paul will be starting from the rear of the field in 22nd place. He's back in his favoured number 24 car, obviously, because Caterpillar, who drives in the 24, is not here tonight. Couldn't make this race, which is a shame actually, because Caterpillar won last week's race at Silverstone, so I was hoping that he might be able to give Jazzman a bit of a fight in the championship this season, but seeing as he is his closest challenger as well, but he's not here this week, which is a real bummer. But nonetheless, I'm going to read you the championship standings, guys, whilst we're just loading up for this round 5 of the season here for the Tier 1s at Motive. So we've got Jazzman leading the championship on 176 points. He's 29 points clear of Caterpillar, who sits on 147 in second place. You've got MVGT in third. He is 51 points behind Jazzman in third place on 125 points. You've got Max Power in fourth on 117 points, followed by Tom Quarantine, who sits on 104 points in 5th place. Tynus in the House sits in 6th on 104 points, followed by Luca, who sits in 7th place on 99 points. And then you've got Rock Lamper, R Lamper, who sits in 8th place in the standings on 93 points, followed by Ludo, who is on 93 points in 9th place. Epiphany completing the top 10 in the championship standings right now, and he sits on 92 points. And yeah, that is the top 10 in the championship coming into tonight. But Jazzman, very, very long way clearing the championship, and obviously with Caterpillar not being here, MVGT is the only one who can really take points off of him. But or Max Power is not too far behind as well. Also, Tom Quarantine has done a really consistent job this season. He is 5th in the championship, starting down in P18 tonight, but his consistency has been absolutely worldy so far this season. 104 points currently on the table, so really good job from him. Tynus in the House has got very unlucky over the course of this season, to be honest with you. He is currently sat in 6th in the standings on 104 points, but he's had a disconnection, and I think he had one disconnection where we gave him points because it was the last lap, and there was another one where he disconnected midway through the race, so obviously scored no points for that one. So he's had a real fair share of bad luck. As we've got Totally 0K saying in ACC it says the real record of Barca is a 143.6. I'm using the record in ACC. Wait, so do you mean that the record in real life? Because generally people go quicker on this game than real life. Yeah, you can go quicker in this game than you can in real life. But no, if that's the record on ACC, then fair play to Titan Guto. But anyway, we're coming out of the last corner here for the start of the Tier 1 race here at Motive for the GT3 Championship, and we've got Titan Guto here on the right hand side of your screen, Jazzman there on the left. They'll switch over by the time the camera angle picks up the head of the grid. As here we go, there we are now, ready to start the race here at Barcelona, and it is green, green, green. We are racing now, and it looks as though Jazzman got a better bite than Titan Guto, and is just ahead of him as they're coming up towards turn 1. Who's going to get the better run in towards the corner though, as now Titan Guto's picking up a bit of speed and looks to be back alongside him here as they come onto the brakes now. Jazzman round the outside has the race lead and has done that one brilliantly there. Titan Guto's now got to defend because he's got MVGT right behind him as well, as you've got Tynus sticking around the outside of MVGT coming through turn 3. They're so close. Oh, nothing between them right now as Tynus keeping it around the outside. MVGT is going to still have the inside for turn 4. Who's going to back out of this one? Tynus goes a little bit wide. MVGT back down the inside, has that one done up into third place. As now Max Power is trying to follow him through as well. As you can see there on the outside that Tynus is trying to hold his ground on Max Power, keeping it on the inside. Max Power trying to go around the outside of turn 5, but Tynus has that one held onto and is going to squeeze back ahead of Max Power as they come up towards turn 6. And it's as you were between those guys, but a good little battle here between those guys. So Tynus in the House dropping behind MVGT. It's Jazzman leading ahead of Titan Guto. There's Tynus ahead of MVGT, followed by Max Power. You've got Luca ahead of Ludo, followed by PS Fitz, Carmissar, R Lampers the top 10. Then you've got Johnny Remick ahead of Epiphany, followed by High Grade Mary Louise, Buzz ahead of Nico, followed by Scooter Red Paul, Tom Quarantine ahead of LOL 3000. You've got Brando and Glenn GT, and Glenn has had Matev has had a nightmare of a start to this race. He is 17 seconds behind. Did he fail to ready up at the start? I think he might have had to start from the pit lane. That could potentially be the issue there for him, but Jazzman out the front ahead of Titan Guto. These guys have gapped MVGT a little bit as Max Power is trying to keep a Titan behind him, Tynus behind him. Tynus though is dropped behind him. Oh, is Max Power sliding there coming into the chicane, and Tynus in the House round the outside gets that one done there, but he goes a bit deep into the corner. Oh, and there's contact behind them as that was Ludo being spun around, and he gets it out of the way there. Very good job there from Ludo to avoid being run into there by the traffic coming through the scene, but Ludo's dropped dropped down. He's falling down the order like a stone right now. Who was it he made contact with? I'm not quite sure at this point. We can see Carmesar coming into the pits here at the end of the first lap, so it's been a bit of a nightmare there for him. But Ludo, they're down to P12, so he has lost a load of places there with that contact. That couldn't have gone really much worse there for him, as High Grade has now got ahead of Epiphany into turn 1, and Epiphany's got to watch out as well, because now Ludo's going to be looking to try and knock him while he's down here. But Ludo's been down here in this race for sure. If this was a boxing match, he would have been knocked down. He would have been pretty much uppercut, an absolute treat. But he's now got the number 72 of Mary Louise looking down his inside, and Mary Louise is gonna mug him there. So Mary Louise up into P12, and now he's got Nico right behind him as well, so he's got to watch out. But Ludo's back down the inside. Oh, he goes into the back of Epiphany there. Can't get a move done there on Mary Louise. He's got Nico now on him as well, but should have the inside for turn 6. And Ludo here dropping down the pack. It's not been the start to this race that he would have wanted, that is for sure. Gap at the front between Jazzman and Tynus, half a second as they're coming down towards turn 9 here for the second time in this race. They're gapping MVGT. You've got Max Power and Tynus pretty close there in 5th and 6th places. There's Luca ahead of Arlampa, followed by PS Fids. Johnny Renwick there running in 9th place. Bit of a gap back to High Grade, who's got Epiphany, and Mary Louise on the back of him. You've got Ludo followed by Nico. There's Spuzz ahead of Tom Quarantine. Scooter Ed Paul there running in 17th place ahead of Brando. There's Lowell 3000 and Glenn GT. Matev currently running in 21st place after starting from the pits. Carmesar has been into the pits to make his mandatory pit stop already, but the leader's coming out of the final corner, 0.4 of a second separating Jazzman and Titan Guto. And there is MVGT, who seems to just be gapping Max Power ever so slightly at this point. You can see Tyson House still keeping Max Power on the same page right now. But lots of battles going on, lots of drama at the start of this race. PS Fizz now eyeing up a move here on Arlampa, as Arlampa's trying to defend the inside. PS Fizz is going to have to look around the long way here. He used to penny the slipstream there, looking to the outside into turn 1. Arlampa's got that one held onto here as they come through that section of the track. Johnny Renwick there running in the background, trying to close onto these guys if he can. But PS Fizz ever so close on the back of Arlampa here as they're coming through turn 3, and through into 4 they go. Arlampa's now defending the inside line here from PS Fizz as he's trying to go round the outside here, and he just goes a little bit deep there, and Arlampa keeps onto that on the inside there. Good move, good driving there from Arlampa, as we can see there. Tynus in the house still trying to get onto the back of Max Power, but Max Power's closed up onto the back of MVGT here. The battle at the front still raging on between Jazzman and Titan Guto though. Still 0.3 of a second, and Titan Guto really trying to pile this pressure on. It was Jazzman's start that got him into P1, and since then he's occupied that position, but he's definitely facing heavy pressure tonight from our pole man, and Jazzman, a self-confessed hater of this circuit, Barcelona, so he'll be, if he can get a win tonight, that would be absolutely superb for him. It'd be more than damage limitation, it would be a bit of a miracle. But looking back through the order, we've got a battle going on right now for P10 between High Grade Epiphany and Mary Louise as they're coming onto the brakes. You can see there you got Ludo, Nico and Spuzz right behind them. Tom in the background ahead of Scooter Ed Paul, who's got pressure from Brando as well, and you got Lowell 3000 and Glenn battling over 19th place at the moment. So there's stuff going on everywhere that you look in this race. Titan Guto still on the back of Jazzman as they're coming out of the last corner to start lap 4 of the race. Max Power here still on the back of MVGT as they're coming into turn 1. You've got a bit of a gap back to, well, not a big of a gap, but you know, you've got Tynus there running in P5. Bit of a gap back to Luca there, who's in 6th. Arlampa there still going in P7. He's now managed to gap PS Fids and Johnny, as Johnny almost going into the back of PS Fids there into turn 1. I don't know if PS Fids made a mistake on that previous lap, but he's now well behind Arlampa here. He was on the back of him, pressuring him for P7 a few moments ago. We've got Epiphany there running in 11th place. He's right behind High Grade at this point, so he'll be looking to try and get something done here with High Grade pretty soon, as the gap's just gone up to 0.7 there. As we've got Ludo really close on the back of Mary Louise. Down the inside he goes into turn 4. Is that job done there for Ludo? I think it is. And in fact, Mary Louise has got to be careful, because Nico is looking around the outside here for turn 5. They're side by side, as you can see Mary Louise going late on the brakes there, going through the corner, and keeps ahead of Nico for the time being. But Ludo is up into 12th place there with that move, and that was a nicely executed manoeuvre there from him, and continuing to make his way up through the order after that collision on the first lap there, dropping him way down the pack. as Max Power's made the move on MVGT into turn 9 up into 3rd place. So Max Power now into the podium places. Tynus in the house on the back of these two. So this trio here battling over the podium places. They're well behind the 2 leaders, Jazzman and Titan Guto, who are still going at it out the front. And Titan Guto is throwing the kitchen sink at Jazzman right now, but Jazzman is currently standing tall, holding firm and doing what he has to do at the moment. 17 of you currently watching the stream, guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying this battle right now between these two, and the battle's going on throughout the rest of the pack. Max Power and MVGT still close. You've got Tynus still on the back of them right now, but I'll tell you what, I can't take my eyes off this one here. Titan Guto really giving Jazzman something to worry about here tonight, and he could potentially be on the verge of taking his first win here at Motive if he can continue what he's doing right now. He is doing an absolutely superb job here tonight, but Max Power just ahead of MVGT. Tynus still keeping on to the back of these guys. They gap Luca a little bit. Arlampa there in P7 is gapping PS Vids. PS Vids has got just under a second to Johnny, so that's still a battle that we've got to keep our eye on. There's High Grade ahead of Epiphany, followed by Ludo. Mary Louise there has lost out to Nico, so Nico's now into 13th place. Tom Quarantine there running in P15, and then there's a bit of a gap back to Brando. There's Lol 3000 ahead of Scooter Red Paul, who's got Matev currently hassling the back of him there for 18th place, and there's Spuzz in the background not too far off of them as well. But here are the top two, Jazzman and Titan Guto. Oh, as Jazzman's got a bit deep, Titan Guto's got a bit of a run. Can he go around the outside here into turn 9? He's going to try and go late on the brakes for sure, or is he going to go for the cutback maybe? Jazzman's got the inside held onto. Titan Guto trying to go around the long way, can't do it. Tucks in for the time being, but that would just be a little sign to Titan Guto that Jazzman is feeling the pressure here. Jazzman survives this time around, but for how much longer is he going to be able to weather this storm? Titan Guto is driving an absolutely fantastic race so far, trying to pressure Jazzman into a mistake. Jazzman leading the race obviously because he got the jump on Titan Guto off of the line. Titan Guto managed to actually get pole position in the qualifying session, but so far in this race Jazzman is holding him off. As we look through the rest of the pack, we've got Ludo looking up the inside here of High Grade into the chicane. High Grade goes a bit deep into the corner. Ludo got nowhere to go. High Grade having to take a very tight line there coming into the first part of the chicane. As in the background, Epiphany and Nico coming together. Nico spun around and he's going to lose out to Mary Louise and Tom. Brando coming up on the scene. Where's Nico? Nico's just behind Brando, so he drops down to P16. Does Nico, and that's going to be a frustrating moment there for him. As there he is. Johnny in the meantime still on the back of PS Vids, but Ludo getting ever closer to the back of High Grade, but still can't get ahead of him. But Ludo now knocking on the door of a top 10 spot after his first lap incident. That's not a bad comeback for him so far. We've got a coding monkey in the comments there saying, "Come on, Titan," as Titan still piles the pressure on our multiple champion here at Motive on ACC, Jazzman. He is a 4-time champion at Motive. He's the champion in the first season of the PS5 GT3 League here, and looking to try and regain his title, which he lost last season to PS Vids, down to the fact that he wasn't actually a full-time driver. He was a reserve last season, and PS Vids got the championship down to fantastic consistency. But Jazzman this season back with a vengeance, has a 29-point lead in the championship coming into tonight over Caterpillar. Caterpillar not here, so his closest challenger in the championship 51 points behind him in the shape of MVGT, who's currently running in 4th place. So Jazzman in a good position to extend his championship gap, but he's not going to be content with just that, I'm sure about that. He'll be pushing for the win here tonight. He's going to be going all out. As Titan gets it a little bit wrong there coming out of the chicane, but that will have cost him a few tenths of a second, and the gap is just going to creep up to the best part of a second here, I think. Just over a second in fact, over Jazzman and Titan as they came over the line. So a bit of a mistake there from Titan, just showing Jazzman that he's getting a little bit excited there probably at this point, as Ludo is now ahead of High Grade. So Ludo up into the final top 10 spot. He's made that move through the final sector. That should change on the timing board now, as there it does. Yep, Ludo up into P10 there ahead of High Grade. Tynus still trying to put the pressure on MVGT for 5th place here in this race, but MVGT still putting the pressure here on Max Power. The gap between Jazzman and Titan just over a second at this point on lap 7 of the race. You got Mary Louise still putting the pressure on Epiphany here as these two coming through turn 2. You've got Tom Quarantine in the background here trying his damnedest here to get around Mary Louise as he goes very wide there coming through turn 2, and that would have cost his run. That would cost him turn 3, but that would have cost him his run there around the outside. MVGT's keeping himself within a second of Max Power right now. Tynus is still right there as well, so it's still a three-man battle here for third place. Gap between Jazzman and Titan Guto. It's already come down since Titan Guto made his mistake. That just goes to show he's dropped off a little bit and then he's regained that time which he lost. So it's showing that Titan Guto has got the pace over Jazzman. It's just about being able to find the gap, being able to work a space and forcing him into a mistake. Obviously the turbulent air off of that Bentley will be affecting the Ferrari's front end grip considerably. But it's still as you were between those guys. There's the battle for third place behind them, which it appears like Max Power has just pulled away a little bit over MVGT and Tynus. But Jazzman, 0.6 of a second is his gap right now over Titan Guto as they come into turn one once again. Mary Louise still close on the back of Epiphany, but looks like Tom's closer onto the back of Mary Louise than Mary Louise has onto Epiphany. Still too far back though, not really in a position to make anything happen coming down the start finish straight. Nico though is all over the back of Brando, and this could be a move for P15 in the race. Is he going to look to the inside and send one up the inside into the braking zone? I think he is. He's going to go for it here. Nico making the move there up into 15th place. Brando gave him the space. No dramas there. Top 5 separated by about 5 seconds right now. Jazzman still with the ascendancy. Titan Guto still hassling him as much as he can. As MGT's got it all wrong coming through the chicane, and Tynus in the house did not need a second invitation there. Swoops around the outside, and that's P4 for Tynus in the house. Gap between Jazzman and Titan Guto just staying at just over half a second, so whatever Titan's able to do, Jazzman's able to just respond a little bit. Totally 0k in the comments, getting behind Titan and Max Power, who are currently running in second and third places right now. As Ludo's trying to shape up another victim in the shape of Johnny. Johnny pushes him a bit wide there, coming through turn 2 into 3. Ludo can't quite get it done, but Ludo continuing to try and cut his way through this field. Tom has just dropped off at the back of Mary Louise a little bit. Mary Louise has fallen off of Epiphany well and truly now, but Ludo here trying to get himself into P9 if he can. We've got 18 of you currently watching the streams. Guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now. We've got JR in the comments there saying, come on Jazz. Jazzman currently holding off Titan Guto by the slenderest of margins right now. Johnny's still ahead of Ludo as they're coming through turn 10. Sorry, turn 6 and 7 should I say. And JR also saying in the comments, big shout out to Scuderia Paul. Currently running in P20 right now in the number 24 Aston Martin here, Scuderia Paul. It's had a quiet race, but will get points obviously for his troubles tonight. Jazzman though, leading the race still ahead of Titan Guto, half a second between these two. Epiphany, Mary Louise and Tom Quarantine still in a battle for 12th, 13th and 14th places here. Matev is closing up onto the back of Spuz, so it's been a decent comeback from Matev after obviously starting from the pits. Oh, Spuz there wide, gets it back on the track though, survives. Gap still 4 tenths between Jazzman and Titan Guto right now. There is nothing separating these two leaders, as Matev's managed to do. Spuz there going through the final corner. Spuz got a little bit wide there, coming out of the chicane, and Matev there moves himself up into 18th place. As this battle for 12th place still rages on between Epiphany, Mary Louise and Tom Quarantine. Ludo's closer to the back of Johnny, but still hasn't been able to get ahead of him. Johnny defending it, coming into turn 5, nowhere for Ludo to go. Gap 3 tenths between Jazzman and Titan, as I just saw Ludo going a bit wide there, coming out of turn 5. Into 6 and 7 they go. Johnny's got a bit more of a gap than he did have, but he rattles over the curb there. Did he hit the gravel a bit there on the exit of 7? Not sure. Let's go to the 2 leaders though, because Titan looks closer to Jazzman than he's ever been in this race, as we're coming in towards the final corner now. Can he get a good run out onto the start finish straight? Jazzman looks like he's just got enough as they're coming out over the line. 0.4 of a second is the gap between them, so Titan just a little bit too far back to make the slipstream work into turn 1, but he's getting there bit by bit. He's just becoming more of a threat as this race goes on. JR in the comments saying Titan in the Ferrari obviously has some talent to keep anywhere near Jazz. Titan Guto was in tier 2 for the first couple of races, JR, and then after the first 2 races we thought to ourselves there's no point in keeping him in tier 2 because he's just far too good. It's unfair on the other guys, it's unfair on him. He's not really being tested, he's not really got too much in common with the guys who he's in there with, so it's like it's not really necessary. So we thought just get him into tier 1 where he'd be much more in his element, and obviously he's able to battle it out with Jazzman, so it's definitely the right decision to give Titan an early promotion. But Johnny and Ludo still batting over 9th and 10th places here. You've got Nico on the back of Epiphany and Tom just leading this trio of this trio of cars here, battling out over 13th place. You've got Lowell 3000 who's got Matev and Spuzz on him, as Matev's looking around the outside of Lowell 3000 coming through turn 3. Can he get a bit of a run here down towards 4? He's looking to the inside, but he's too far back, and Lowell 3000 has got that one held on to for the time being. Just noticing here that Ludo's managed to get ahead of ahead of Johnny as well, up into 9th place. Staying with this battle for P17. Currently Lowell 3000 has lost out to Matev, so Matev's up into 17th place. Can Spuzz now get ahead of Lowell 3000 as well? He's managed to squeeze through there, so Spuzz moves himself up into 18th place. And Lowell 3000 losing 2 places there in the space of 2 corners. But Johnny's managed to get back ahead of Ludo here. Ludo's coming into the pits at the end of lap 12, so it's lap 11. So it's an early pit stop here for him, very early pit stop indeed. So Ludo now driving through the pit lane once again. Jazzman and Titan still 0.4 of a second separating these two out the front. But Tom Quarantine trying to keep himself within that second gap here to Mary Louise. He's still right there in that battle. Titan Guto still on the back of Jazzman right now, 0.4 of a second separating these two as they're going through turn 8. On lap 12 here at Motive for the tier 1s here at Barcelona, round 5 of 8 for this season 3. Epiphany's on the back of Nico here as these guys battled it out over P13. Lowell 3000 is on the back of Spuzz as these two battled it out over 18th place as well. But here come the two leaders, Jazzman and Titan Guto, 0.3 apart, and still these two running pretty much identical lap times right now. Max Power running in 3rd place. I'll tell you what, he's just been quietly going about his business, but he's actually started to close in on Jazzman and Titan Guto. So I don't know whether Max Power just didn't practice much for this one, or he just seems to be getting quicker as this race goes on. Tinus running in 4th place is 2 seconds behind Max Power. He's only he's only about 5 seconds off for the lead at this point, is Tynus. He's doing a good job as well. MVGT running in 5th place, a couple of seconds behind Tynus. Luca still within 10 seconds of the lead. You've got PS Vids there running in 7th place in a world of his own. Not quite on the pace of Luca, but well ahead of our Lamper running in 8th. Let's flick to the battle here between Tom and Nico as they're coming down the start-finish straight, because Nico's getting that little bit closer to Tom as they come down towards turn 1. But still nothing doing there in that battle, still tucking in for the time being. Jazzman and Titan, the gap is coming down ever more, and Titan Guto is still trying everything he possibly can here to get the move done on Jazzman. Coming down towards the end of the back straight, still 4 tenths apart, but still Titan Guto can't make the move happen. He's been just probing and pushing and trying to force Jazzman into a mistake since the start of the race when Jazzman got the jump on him off of the line, but just hasn't been able to find that opening just yet. These guys have gapped max power a little bit over the course of this lap, so they started to respond to this potential threat here of the number 8 BMW. Tynus there still in 4th. He's still not far away, let's say that, but 6 tenths separating the two leaders coming over the line to complete lap 13. Tynus in the house, potentially actually matching the top 2 at this point as well. Max Powers there still going in the final podium spot. You've got Tynus they're running in 4th place ahead of MVGT. There's Luca running in P6, bit of a gap back to PS Vids, who's still going in 7th place right now. And you've got our Lamper there running in 8th, as we can see Johnny coming into the pits here at the end of lap 13 for him. Mary Louise is on the back of High Grade, and no, in fact he's not, sorry, he's on the back, he's got Tom and Nico still behind him. Epiphany's just about a second off of these guys as they're coming into turn 1, as Tom looking at the inside of Mary Louise into turn 1, but couldn't make anything happen just there. Looks as though Mary Louise has got a bit of damage there on the rear of the car and on the underfloor as well. The suspension seems to have taken a bit of a knock, as we can see Tom has got Nico looking to his inside into turn 4, and down the inside goes Nico Barani, and job done there for him up into 12th place. Beautiful move there from Nico, opportunistic there from him. See Nico trying to keep it on the outside. Mary Louise trying to come back, coming into the chicane, but Nico still has that one held on to. Tom Quarantine now looking to try and capitalise here, maybe, as Mary Louise didn't get a great one out of the final corner. As we start lap 15 here, as down into turn 1 once again, and Mary Louise here might lose out to Tom Quarantine. Into turn 1 they go, and that's job done there for Tom Quarantine, up into 11th place. Epiphany waiting in the wings behind these guys, so that's Nico and Tom both getting ahead of Mary Louise in the space of about a lap. Comment coming in here from Andrew saying spare time got caught out by a lad on cold tyres. I would rather take myself out than someone else. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, mate. If I feel like I'm about to lose the car, I'll do everything I can to avoid crashing into someone else. Generally, you need to just have good reflexes and be conscientious in situations like that. You know, it can happen, but you just have to be very, very careful. But we're currently watching a battle here between Jazzman and Titan Guto. 3 tenths currently separating these guys. I'm trying to do something on my computer that might help the stream a bit, but it's just taking forever to load, and I'm just losing patience right now. I'm just thinking, yeah, maybe this is just the best left as it is, to be perfectly honest. But Jazzman and Titan Goose are nonetheless still continuing their battle out the front of the pack. You've still got Nico running just ahead of Tom Quarantine. Tom may try and start chasing down Nico here. Tom also has been in a position this season where consistency has really rewarded him. He sits 5th in the championship standings. Seems to go better in the races than what he does in the qualifyings, for sure. But Nico and Tom seems to just be pulling away a little bit from Mary Louise and Epiphany at this point. Epiphany's trying to get closer to the back of Mary Louise. So Mary Louise has gone from 11th down to 13th place in the recent laps. As we see our Lamper coming in here at the end of lap 16, so he's making his pit stop. He's the first driver actually, aside from the drivers who picked early damage up, to come into the pit. So that's interesting. Oh, Ludo came in as well, but he's kind of in that category as well. In fact, no, Spoz and Johnny and Brando have been in. I didn't see those guys coming in, but they have been in. But yeah, anyway, our Lamper coming in, the first of the drivers in the top 10 to come in, let's say that. And currently the gap at the front still not much, as Titan ever closer to the back of Jazzman. Only 2 tenths this time coming into turn 9. Still nothing doing though at this point. But he is just turning up the pressure here a little bit. We don't know what these guys are doing in terms of their strategy, whether they're half tanking it, whether they're full tanking it, what exactly they're doing. We don't know what any of the guys in the top 15 places are doing in terms of their strategy. And the biggest indicator is when they come in. But we see these guys going past the halfway point. Nobody's really coming in. Oh, Max Power's coming in. So Max Power making his pit stop here at the end of lap 17. He's also coming in just behind Glenn, who is a lap down on him.
Keep it up.
Currently in 19th place. You can see in the background there, you've got Luca coming in as well. So Max Power and Luca both coming in on the same lap here. And PS Vid's also coming in as well. So these 3 guys all coming in at the end of lap 17 to make their pit stop, splitting their races in half effectively. But nonetheless, guys, we have got 15 of you currently watching. Guys, absolutely great to have so many people watching. If you're enjoying, please smash the like button as well. We've got 13 likes currently on the stream. Can we get it to 20 likes before we get off air? How awesome would that be if we can get the stream to 20 likes? I think we had over 30 likes for the first round at Monza, I think. I think we had like 28, 27 for Zolder and Kota last week. I think we had about 17, so not as many last time out. But guys, if you haven't already, please do so. It helps us out so much. as we've got a stop-go penalty here for PS Fids. So PS Fids has got done there for speeding in the pits, and he is going to lose more places here in this race with that. So he's gone steaming into the pits a little bit too quickly here. I don't know if it was on the pit entry or whether it was coming out of the box, or whether he just got on the power too early coming out of the pits, but nonetheless PS Fids there being done there. Whatever the case, a bit trigger happy as we can see Titan Guto into his box. So is he going to go for the undercut here on Jazzman? Jazzman's staying out for the time being. Again, not sure what the strategies are in terms of fuel, tyres, or lack of changing fuel or tyres. Nonetheless, did you enjoy the tier 2 race, mate? Says Gila Christ. I did. I very much enjoyed it. It was a very exciting race from start to finish. I think Gila Christ has been watching back the closing stages of that race, and they were dramatic to say the least. But Luca's currently got a train of cars. In fact, he's just, I think, cleared them because he's been into the pits, probably got fresh tyres on at this point. He's now ahead of Matev. Max Power is well behind, so I don't know what's happened to Max Power in the box. Maybe he's changed tyres, whereas Luca hasn't. So potentially Luca doesn't have fresh tyres on. Epiphany nonetheless is into the pits here from P11. Titan Guto's back out on the track having made his pit stop. Jazzman leading the race by 5 seconds ahead of Tynus, with MVGT and High Grade completing the top 4, but obviously these guys all have to come into the pits. Oh, and Nico as well, P5 is now ahead of Titan Guto, so top 5 have all still got a pit. Titan Guto's obviously been in, but the thing is, his battle with Jazzman for the lead is going to be compromised a little bit here because he's got to deal with traffic, which is going to compromise him ever so slightly. But yeah, we've got spur time there saying, well, at least you're conscientious, or courteous, he's saying to Andrew. Fair play, I got wiped out by the usual suspect. And Gilagris there saying, just bad luck, mate. Your time will come, you are fast. Oh, talking about totally 0k there, obviously, because he had his stop-go penalty there in Tier 2, where he was in the battle for the lead. He was in a great battle for the lead as well, battling it out the front with Andrew, but unfortunately for him, making a bit of a mistake. Andrew obviously gutting for him. He could have got the win at the end. He had fresh tyres and he was on the back of Henry, but made a mistake, binned it into the wall, got damage on the car, ended up in 5th place it was in the end. Andrew finished. Henry in the end managing to make a strategy work that probably wasn't very likely to work. PS Fids has now done his stop-go penalty and he's now back out on the track, but he's a long way behind, down in P20, so it's not gone to plan at all for him. As we can see, MVGT now off and on his way once again, and we'll be back out on the track in a second. But it's still Jazzman leading the race by 5 seconds right now over Tynus in the house. Titan Guto still on the back of Nico as they're coming down towards turn 4. And they've got little gaps back to Tom and Mary Louise running in 6th and 7th places. You've got Epiphany on the back of Commissar as this coming over the line here to start lap 20 of the race. All 3000 coming into the pits to make his pit stop, so that just leaves now Jazzman, Tynus, High Grade, Nico, Tom, Mary Louise, Matev to come into the pits. So that's 15 drivers having done their mandatory pit stop and 7 still to go. And I think all the guys who are out there now are probably the ones who are full tanking it. I think also Titan Guto and Luca are full tanking it as well. So I think Max Power and MVGT are the only ones of the top sort of drivers who are half tanking it. I think that Luca is full tanking it. His gap to Max Power is 9 seconds at the moment, but that will obviously come down with Max Power being on fresher tyres than him. Totally 0k saying the power of anime will be on my side. Suzuka, I think it definitely will. Yeah, Japan obviously the home of Suzuka, and yeah, definitely so, mate. But we've got Titan Guto nonetheless looking to the inside of Nico into turn 1, and Nico gives him the space, sees him coming at the last minute. Titan Guto's going to have the inside for turn 3, and keep it on the outside for turn 2, and he does so there. Titan Guto makes the move up into 4th place. As I said before, he's been losing time the more that he's been stuck behind this traffic, because Jazzman out the front has got a clear track ahead of him, and Titan Guto's gone for the undercut, but he's had to negotiate a lot of traffic here, and that would have cost him in his quest to try and get the jump here on Jazzman. Can he keep himself in this hunt for the race win? Jazzman's still doing what he has to do as he's coming over the line to start lap 22 of the race. There's Tynus running in 2nd place. High Grade still going in P3. He's got Titan Guto there running in 4th place, 3 seconds behind him. But he's Titan Guto in with a net chance of getting ahead of Jazzman once Jazzman comes into the pits. Battle still going on between Nico and Tom Quarantine for P5. So Tom Quarantine's not giving up with this one. But when are we going to be seeing Jazzman coming into the pits? When are we going to be seeing Tynus in? Where's Tynus going to fit in all of this? Because he could maybe be quite close to Luca by the time he comes in. That could be a battle to watch in the closing stages of the race as well. That would be probably for 3rd, but then again they're also both going to have Max Power closing in on them as well, because Max Power's on fresh tyres. MVGT not too far behind Max Power as well, could be bringing himself into this. These two are going to be ones to watch in the closing stages as well. There's going to be so much to keep track of in the latter part of this race. Everybody else in the top 10, barring them, has already been into the has not been into the pit stop yet. So a lot of drivers still need to come in and make their mandatory pit stop in this one. Jazzman, Tynus, High Grade, Nico, Tom Quarantine, Mary Louise and Matev. Luca trying to make short work here of Mary Louise, but it's not coming about how he'd want it to be at the moment. As Titan Guto is now arriving on the back of High Grade as these guys coming out of turn 8. Can Titan Guto get a little bit of a run coming down towards turn 9? Is he close enough? Having a little look to the inside, but High Grade's just got the measure of him at the moment. There's Nico and Tom coming through turn 9 right now. They've got a couple of seconds back to Mary Louise. They're running in 7th place. Luca there running in 8th place. You've got Matev there in P9. Max Power there just over a second behind him. 16 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, then please hit the like button. If you're enjoying also and you want to get involved in the action, then be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. As we've got GGJ in the comments there saying good evening, welcome along to your GGJ. GGJ races with us on a Friday night in the F1 League on F1 22, and also has raced with us on ACC on the PS4 as well. I think he's got a PS5 now, so he could theoretically jump in on ACC, but I think he's more orientated towards F1 now. I know he didn't get on with the F1 22 game when it first came out, but I think he kind of got to grips with it eventually, and I don't think he's, I don't know, are you still playing ACC at the moment, GGJ? If you are, then you're more than welcome to join the leagues. I know Jalram's raced in a couple of the races, but obviously he had to pull out because of his team that he's racing in. But yeah, definitely, if you've got some spare time on a Sunday night, definitely come in and take part in this PS5 GT3 league. We've still got Hybrid and Titan Guto battling over the final podium place. Nico and Mary Louise both in the pit box still, as Mary Louise is just coming off the jacks now. Nico off the jacks as well. There's Mary Louise, there is Nico. So Nico there staying well ahead of Mary Louise as they're coming out of the pits now. Oh, it's Titan getting up underneath Hybrid here, coming into turn 10, and Titan Guto's done that one up into 3rd. So that's another driver picked off for him. Oh, GJ says that he races F1 on Sunday nights. Fair enough, mate. Oh, it's just trying my luck. Andrew there saying, nightmare, mate. Nothing worse than just getting smashed What do you mean? On the penultimate lap, I thought that you lost it. I didn't realise that Henry wasn't Henry, was it? Oh, I think you're responding to. The comments. Sorry. Did one tonight as well. GG. Where'd you come? Where'd you finish? Tom Quarantine coming into the pits here at the end of lap 23. Jazzman just coming to the end of lap 24. He's currently got a 4.5 second lead. Titus is actually closing in on Jazzman a little bit. I mean, he's got some traffic here just in front of him, which I think Jazzman's had to negotiate, so that could have cost Jazzman a bit of time. But Titus is actually starting to reel the gap down to Jazzman a little bit here. Jazzman has just had to clear quite a bit of traffic though, which could have definitely been a factor. But obviously the driver that we're going to be keeping an eye on here is Titan Guto, because he was the one who was battling with Jazzman before he came into the pits. So he could be coming out in the midst of a battle here with Jazzman. But Jazzman nonetheless coming through to the end of the first sector right now. I tell you what, Titan Guto is a long way behind Jazzman. He's a very long way behind him. I'm not sure if Titan Guto came in for tyres and fuel. I'm starting to have second thoughts over this now. He seems too far behind Jazzman. I think he's about 50 to 55 seconds behind Jazzman, just looking at the where they are on the track. A lap time around here is 1:45-ish. Oh, Jazzman's coming in, so we'll find out in a moment anyway. Is Titus staying out? Yes, he is. So I guess we're going to find out now whether or not Titan Guto's done enough to get anywhere near Jazzman here. So Jazzman coming through the pit lane. We'll stop in his box in a moment. Titan Guto isn't even in the final sector yet, nowhere near it. Jazzman here coming up towards his pit box. I wonder if he's got to put fuel in maybe. I wonder if he's not put all of his fuel in the car, maybe to try and save a bit of weight. But Titus nonetheless is coming through to the end of the first sector. Titan Guto only just coming into the final sector now. Jazzman's already away. So Jazzman is out of the pit lane now. He is well clear of Titan Guto. Titan Guto is nowhere to be seen. So has Titan Guto maybe just gone for a different strategy here? Maybe he's changed tyres, I don't know. Jazzman here coming through turn 3. Titan Guto is miles behind Jazzman. So did Titan Guto maybe have a bad pit stop? Potentially. I think he could have done. I think Titan Guto must have had a slow stop. There's Jazzman, there's Titan. We'll see the gap as he comes through this section. 18 seconds separating Jazzman and Titan Guto. Obviously we've probably got about 8 laps left in this race. 8 or 9 laps, probably 8 to be honest. So I reckon it's probably going to be advantage Jazzman, very much so. Titan Guto would have to set the world alight in the final few laps of this race. He'd have to lap over 2 seconds a lap quicker than Jazzman if he is to take this win. I think that gap's too much. Even if he has got fresh tyres on, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Cody Monkey saying he lost a lot of time in traffic and maybe tyres too. Yeah, I think you are right. But I thought he didn't change tyres, but he must have done to have lost that amount of time in the pits. 18 seconds. You don't lose that just by You don't lose that just by being in traffic. He doesn't look like he's got any damage on the car. Maybe a spin? I don't know. It's all speculation at this point. But nonetheless, it's Tynus who leads the race, and Tynus in the house could be emerging here as Jazzman's closest challenger for this race win, because he's still yet to pit and he's almost definitely half tanking at this point. Jazzman didn't have a perfect stop, so if Tynus can get it in and out of the pit box nice and quickly here, he could be in a similar position to what we saw Henry in the Tier 2 race, although saying that his gap's only 33 seconds to Jazzman. But are we going to be seeing Jazzman coming around to take another win here in this season? It'll be his 4th win from 5 if he can. He's won 3 of the 4 races so far this season already. As we can see that Luca's now got ahead of High Grade up into 4th place, and High Grade's got to watch out because Max Power is now all over the back of him. But obviously High Grade still has to come in and make his mandatory pit stop, so that will drop him down the order considerably by the time he gets to the end of the race. But Max Power looking up the inside of High Grade, in a bit of a contact there as they come through turn 5. Max Power gets the job done, no dramas there. High Grade obviously on the worn out tyres. Max Power moves himself up into P5. Luca there just going through turn 6 and 7 in front of them, so can Max Power now put this pressure on Luca here? MVGT is going to be next up on the back of Max Power. He'll be hoping that Max Power comes into the pits before he gets to him. GGJ saying that Jazzman says he doesn't like this track. Yeah, he's pretty quick round here nonetheless. If Jazzman doesn't like his track, it means that he's probably about a 10th or 2 off of his usual level. And you know, considering that his usual level is the best in the league, you know, it probably doesn't make too many odds that he doesn't like the track. But yeah, seems to be doing rather well nonetheless around this Barcelona, or Circuit de Catalunya Barcelona circuit here tonight. Just said circuit twice there. I don't know why I felt that necessary. Nonetheless, the gap is going up a little bit between Tynus and Jazzman. So Tynus, it's just over 34 seconds. It was 33.8, so it's not really massive amounts of difference in terms of the gain from Tynus, but yeah, he's definitely extending a little bit. Saying that, he is coming up on some traffic here, so this will be a nightmare for him because he's got a load of people who are battling for position. Oh, this couldn't have gone much worse. He's got the battle for P8, R. Lampert, Carmissar, Tom and Ludo all running in a trade, and does he come into the pits? He'd be well advised to. Yeah, Tynus bails out of that one, thinks, you know what, that's more trouble than it's worth, and into the pits he comes. Now Jazzman's coming into the final sector in a moment's time. So Tynus will be stopping in this box. Here's Jazzman just coming through the final part of the lap. Tynus now stopping in the box. Is it going to be a quick get up, get down, get up and gone type of affair here? It is. He's now off and away, but Jazzman's already coming out the final corner, and I think that Jazzman's going to retake the lead here at Barcelona around a track that he doesn't like very much at all. But here is Jazzman passing the pit exit line. There is Tynus just coming out of the pits. So Jazzman here has got a healthy lead as he comes into turn 1 here on lap 29 of the race. And Jazzman looking like he's got this one in the bag, barring any major mishaps in the final part of this race. He should have this one done. Tynus running in P2, down to his strategy. I think he's going to finish ahead of Titan Guto. Titan will be coming for him in the closing laps, but I think that gap's too much. I don't think he's got a hope of being able to catch him here. So Jazzman's gap to Tynus just under 7 seconds, so he's actually gained on Tynus through the pit window. He's actually pulled away from him. The gap was 4.5 seconds before they came into the pits, so Jazzman's actually won out in this battle during the pit stops. We've got Max Power and Luca still battling over 4th, 5th and 6th places. MVGT on the back of these guys as well as MVGT looking to the outside here on Luca, coming into turn 5 but nothing doing at the moment. looking to try and get a run coming down towards 6 and 7, but Luca's got the measure of him right now. Gap at the front between Jasmine and Titus has come down by half a second so far on this lap. But Titus was on and off the jacks very quickly, so he definitely hasn't changed tyres. There's no chance, as Titus just put a lap there on PS Bids. Obviously PS Bids with his stop-go penalties cost him a lot of places in this race. But Titus in-house making short work of last season's champion there, obviously being a lap ahead of him. PS Bids not fighting that one particularly hard, but we've still got Max Power running just ahead of Luca and MVGT as these three are coming out of the last corner here to start lap 30 of the race. We've got a driver coming into the pits in the background. That must be high grade, surely. Yeah, it is high grade, so he is now in the pits here at the end of lap 29. But the battle for 4th place still rages on here between Max Power, Luca and MVGT. 19 of you currently watching the stream. Smash the like button, guys, if you're enjoying right now. We've only got 14 likes. Can we get it to 20 likes? Come on, guys, let's get it to 20 likes if we can. That would be absolutely amazing. What a night it's been across both tiers. It's been some great action. Show your appreciation for the guys out on track. They have given it everything here tonight. Still as you are between these three. High grade has come out of the pits now, so he's done his mandatory pit stop. Where has he come out? He's come out in 11th place behind Karmasar, so he's not going to have fresh tyres, obviously, because he wouldn't have put fresh tyres on coming in this late, so I don't think he's going to have much hope closing into Karmasar, but he might have a chance of holding off Epiphany, who seems to be coming at him quite quickly here. 6 more likes, says GGJ. Yes, come on. GGJ knows the score. 20 of you currently watching. 6 of you have not liked this video. That is a fact. That is a verifiable fact that 6 of you have not liked this video. As we see MVGT looking to the outside here on Luca, coming down towards turn 1, down the start finish straight. He's got the straight line speed in that Mercedes, but has he got the confidence on the brakes? Here he goes round the outside. Luca keeping himself there, but MVGT will have the inside for turn 2 and should have that one done. Squeezes him out. MVGT moves himself up into P5. Beautiful move there from him. Gets that done, and Luca there, good clean driving from him as well. As Jazzman is extending his gap over Tynus, it's now 7.5 seconds between those two, so he's continuing to play it out. Tyson Guto is closing on these guys, so he must have changed tyres, but I think it was the wrong decision in hindsight. I think definitely an oversight in strategy there from our pole sitter, but he'll learn and he will get his first win. I know that for sure. He's always up there in the battle. Was on pole by over half a second tonight, but Jazzman, as per in the races, he's something else. Qualifying, he's very good in qualifying, but in the race he is an absolute beast. And I tell you what, it just goes to show when he's not got the quali pace. When he's not got the outright pace in quali, he is still a dominant force to be reckoned with in the race. His gap just over 7 seconds here to Tynus. Titan Guto 15 seconds off of the lead, so it's been a solid performance from him tonight, but he will be found wanting at the end of this one. As we got Anze Seelan there saying go Luca, MVGT, Arlampa and Matev. You currently got MVGT running in P5, Luca P6. Good job from those guys. Arlampa also P7 as well, so a solid drive from him. And Matev, to be fair, coming from the back at the early stages, had an uphill task against him, but he's done really well here tonight, that's for sure. I'm seeing here Epiphany is getting ever closer to the back of High Grade in this battle for 11th place. But is he going to be able to rob him of that position in the final couple of laps of the race? These guys starting their third to last lap of the race, because Jazzman's still yet to start his penultimate lap. MVGT's about 2 seconds behind Max Power. Can he close that gap? I think it might be a bit too little too late. He's already gapped Luca though by 1.5 seconds, so might not be beyond him. Epiphany's still close on the back of High Grade, but in fact High Grade's actually extended that gap through the first sector here. You can see he's noticeably further ahead than he was. MVGT's bringing the gap down a little bit to Max Power, but not by enough. I don't think he's going to catch him before the end. Only 2 laps left to go for these guys now, so I think time is running out here for MVGT. As we see our race leader here, lap and a half to go coming through turn 8. His gap is now extending to Tynus, nearly 8 seconds between Jazzman and Tynus. Titan Guto's bringing the gap down very quickly here to Tynus, but he's 7 seconds behind, best part of 7 seconds behind, so he's not going to get there in time either. MVGT is noticeably closer to Max Power this time, so maybe he might be able to stage a late rally on this as we're approaching the final lap of the race, but he really needs to be within 1 second starting the last lap to have a realistic shot of getting him on the last lap. Commissar is only 1 second behind Tom Quarantine. Can he get onto him before the end? Epiphany only 1 second behind High Grade as well, so that could be a close battle here at the end of this race. Final lap of the race here. Jazzman has got 1 tour of this Barcelona circuit to go. MVGT is now only 1 second behind Max Power. Could he have a crack at him on the final lap of the race? This is going to be one to watch, and it's going to go all the way down to the wire between these two as they're coming out of the final corner, about to start lap 34, the final lap of the race. Epiphany's still within 1 second of High Grade, but I don't think he's going to be able to force him into a mistake. High Grade, a consistent driver, doesn't usually make too many mistakes. Max Power and MVGT coming into turn 1. MVGT throwing a little feint to the inside, but he's too far back into turn 1. But can he make the move? Maybe turn 9 might be his best opportunity at the end of the back straight. In the meantime, Jazzman is coming through 6 and 7. And there's Tynus, there is Titan Guto occupying that final podium place. Max Power and MVGT still running close coming through turn 4. Epiphany is now getting closer to High Grade as they're about to start their final laps of the race. Max Power and MVGT going through turn 5. Jazzman is coming through turn 10. He's coming into the final sector of the lap. Battle for P4 and 5 still going on here between Max Power and MVGT. Jazzman is coming into the final chicane. Max Power and MVGT running close, but I think Max Power's got enough of a gap here and should be alright. But Jazzman is coming out of the front chicane into the final corner here at Barcelona. He said he didn't like this track very much at all. Well, you could have fooled us, Jazzman, because you've been absolutely superb here tonight. Not a great qualifying, half a second behind the pole sitter, but he's gone and taken the race win in emphatic fashion tonight. And Jazzman taking his 4th win from 5 races. Tynus in the house takes 2nd place, deserved and creditable 2nd place for him. Titan Guto, the pole sitter, played the wrong strategy tonight. Should have gone for a full tank without a tyre change, but nonetheless a P3 for him. Max Power is going to come around the final corner and he's going to take a 4th place here in the end, ahead of MVGT, who will take 5th place behind him. Flash the lights there from MVGT as he comes over the line. PS Fids has finished the race a lap down in 17th. A disappointing night for our champion, our reigning champion of this PS5 GT3 division. Brando comes over to take the checkered flag. Spuzz has also finished the race. Glenn GT has finished the race 2 laps down as well. As Max Power finishes in 4th. MVGT came over in 5th ahead of Luca in 6th. Our Lampa's coming around the final few corners. Scooter Red Paul's finished the race in 19th place. The 3000 will be coming up in the line shortly. Our Lampa here coming through the final corner will be a P7 here for him. Solid points there in the bag for our Lampa. Just a little way clear of Ludo, who comes over in 8th place. Tom Quarantine out of the final corner will hold off Karmasar in the end by quite some way as well. So that's Tom's 9th, Karmasar 10th. Highway comes over in 11th place, holds off Epiphany and actually gapped him a bit at the end there as well. Matev will take P13 in the end ahead of Nico Barani in P14. Mary Louise completes the classification. He'll be the last driver to finish. Lowell 3000 also finished in 20th place. That is that, ladies and gentlemen, for the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship for another week here. Round 5 for Season 3. Jazzman taking a win at a track which he confessed earlier on he doesn't like. Well, Jazzman, you know, you just got to learn to like it, because ultimately you're quick around here. So yeah, you just got to you've got to learn to love this place. But thanks everybody, guys, for tuning in. Congratulations to Jazzman Tynus and Titan Guto on taking the podium places. Also congratulations to Henry on taking the tier 2 win earlier on. We're going to get off now. Join us next week at Suzuka for round 6 of the season, coming towards the business end of the championship. But I think Jazzman's already got one hand on the trophy now with Counterpillar's absence this week. He should be a long way clear with MVGT down in P5 tonight as well. But yeah, guys, we're going to go. Thanks to everybody once again. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed tonight, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take it easy, everybody, and good night.
Green light. Go, go, go.